Chapter 438. Qin Fan woke up from his room, tidied himself up, and went to the hall. The temporary butler of the mansion walked over and handed a card to Qin Fan. Qin Fan thought that it was the 500 million cash flow card that Cheng Rue prepared. But after looking at the words on it, he realized that it was a Hotel Supreme membership card. Mr. Qin, Director Cheng asked me to inform you that it will take time to transfer 500 million cash flow. Please understand, this is a 5-star hotel's Supreme membership card. You can go to this hotel directly if you want to eat. You don't have to pay. The butler explained Cheng Rue's words. Qin Fan nodded. He could understand. He had a good impression of Cheng Rue and didn't feel that she was deliberately making things difficult for him. After all, 500 million cash flow was not a small amount. Seeing that Qin Fan was about to leave, the butler immediately went to inform the driver to prepare the car. Wang Haoren and Zhang Shuai were having breakfast in the hotel's restaurant. Zhang Shuai was not in a good mood, so he didn't have much appetite. Wang Haoren was a little tired last night and needed to replenish his energy. Naturally, he ate with relish. Buzz! His phone suddenly vibrated. Wang Haoren saw that it was Cheng Rue and immediately picked up the phone. As for Qin Fan, I've temporarily settled his accommodation, travel, and meals. But I didn't give him any cash. Is this okay? Cheng Rue asked. Yes. Wang Haoren replied. Cheng Rue was meticulous, so he was more at ease. What are you doing now? Cheng Rue finished reporting and couldn't help but want to chat. Eating breakfast. Wang Haoren replied. What a coincidence, me too. Cheng Rue's laughter came from the phone. She asked, what are you eating? Wang Haoren was about to reply, but he suddenly noticed that Zhang Shuai was a little strange. He saw Zhang Shuai staring at the entrance of the hotel's restaurant with an angry face. Following Zhang Shuai's gaze, Wang Haoren caught sight of Qin Fan's figure. I have something to do now. I'll talk to you later. Wang Haoren quickly finished and hung up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Cheng Rue was full of resentment. She thought that Wang Haoren was not in the mood to chat with her. Cousin Haoren, that's the one who hit me. Zhang Shuai pointed in Qin Fan's direction and said angrily, calm down. I will find someone to deal with him. Wang Haoren wanted to calm him down, so he quickly said this. Immediately, he communicated with the system and immediately checked on Qin Fan. Protagonist, Qin Fan, combat strength, 16726 charm, 87, protagonist aura, 11308, skill Goldfinger God level apprentice system. The host who binds to this system will directly obtain 99 types of divine level abilities. The 99 divine level abilities were divided into ancient martial arts, divine level medical skills, divine level physiognomy, divine level geomancy, unique mission issued by the system. Nurture 99 disciples with the ability to influence the world completed. After Wang Haoren checked Qin Fan's attributes, he could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. His current combat power was only 4,736. This Qin Fan actually had a combat power of 16,726. That was more than 3 times of his. And those 99 types of divine level abilities were not to be trifled with. This Qin Fan was quite tricky to deal with. With that in mind, Wang Haoren quickly checked his attributes panel and looked at the villain point. Villain points, 160600, a little more than 160,000 points, which was very ample. Without hesitation, Wang Haoren exchanged for another 100 years of true qi on top of the 100 years of true qi that he already had. The exchange rate was 1,000 villain points for 1 year of true qi. After the exchange was completed, the villain point immediately decreased by 100,000 points. Wang Haoren's heart ached, and he quickly checked the changes in his combat power. The original 4,736 combat power had now become 9,236. Damn, it only increased by so little? Wang Haoren had the urge to curse. Based on 100,000 villain points, to increase his combat power by 4,500, he would need to spend at least 180,000 villain points to reach the same combat power as Qin Fan. And it was only on par with him. If he wanted to kill Qin Fan easily, he would need at least 200,000 villain points. And now, there were only 60,000 villain points on the panel. In other words, he would need another 140,000 villain points. Just thinking about it made Wang Haoran feel that it was so far away, in the distance. While Wang Haoran and Zhang Shuai were sizing him up, Qin Fan seemed to have sensed something and could not help but look over. Qin Fan was also here for breakfast. There were not many seats left in the restaurant. There was a table next to Wang Haoran and Zhang Shuai. Qin Fan casually walked over and sat down on the seat next to them. Zhang Shuai stared coldly at Qin Fan and whispered to Wang Haoran, "Cousin Haoran, hurry up and call someone over. Don't let him run away." Wang Haoran glared at him and wished that he could cover Zhang Shuai's face with his plate. This was because Wang Haoran noticed that when Zhang Shuai spoke, Qin Fan's ears twitched slightly. He heard it, and Qin Fan looked at Wang Haoran. There was a hint of hostility in Qin Fan's eyes. Wang Haoran noticed it. He did not intend to have a direct confrontation with Qin Fan, but because of Zhang Shuai's words, Qin Fan was eyeing him. Wang Haoran admitted that he was far from being a match for Qin Fan, and if he poisoned him, the success rate was so low that it was negligible. After all, Qin Fan had divine-level medical skills. If he acted rashly and Qin Fan found out, he would be in danger. However, Wang Haoran was already prepared, so he did not panic. In front of Qin Fan, Wang Haoran took out his phone and sent a message. "Sister, I'll treat you to breakfast. Do you want to come?" "Location?" The other party replied instantly. Wang Haoran sent a location and waited. Zhang Shuai and Wang Haoran sat opposite each other and could not see the content of the message. He thought that Wang Haoran had called someone over and was excited. He glared fiercely at Qin Fan. Qin Fan looked indifferent and did not take it to heart. He called the waiter over and started to order. After some time, Qin Fan finished his meal and took out the Hotel Supreme member card to pay the bill. Zhang Shuai was anxious. He was afraid that Qin Fan would run away. He quickly shouted, Hey, aren't you very awesome? If you have the guts, don't leave." Wang Haoran looked at Zhang Shuai as if he was looking at an idiot. This guy really liked to court death. The key was that it was fine if he wanted to court death, but he would also implicate himself. Qin Fan was about to leave, but after hearing Zhang Shuai's words, he immediately stopped. He walked towards Wang Haoran and Zhang Shuai's table. "I didn't hit you hard last time. You still don't remember?" Qin Fan looked at Zhang Shuai as if he was looking at an ant. "It's different this time. My cousin Haoran called someone over. If you're a man, don't run away." Zhang Shuai provoked. Qin Fan raised his eyebrows and glanced at Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran glanced at Zhang Shuai. He really wanted to pick up the fork on the table and stab Zhang Shuai's waist 1,000 times. After Zhang Shuai's provocation, Qin Fan's hostility also turned to Wang Haoran. "You're itching for a beating too?" Qin Fan looked at Wang Haoran. "Don't think that you could do whatever you want just because you can fight. I call my sister over. She's very powerful. Don't beg for mercy when the time comes." Wang Haoran was not afraid at all. That was because he saw that his savior had arrived. Chapter 439. Hearing Wang Haoran's words, Qin Fan couldn't help but laugh. In this world, the person who could make him feel fear had not been born yet. Thinking like this, Qin Fan couldn't help but sneer. "Fine, I'll wait for a while. At that time, I'll make you and Sister kneel and beg for forgiveness." Hearing this, Wang Haoran's lips curled into a strange smile. He waved his hand behind Qin Fan. "Sister, over here." After Tantai Yaiwa walked into the restaurant, she looked around for Wang Haoran's figure. Unfortunately, she couldn't find him immediately. After hearing the shout, she turned around and saw Wang Haoran's figure. Tantai Yaiwa walked over with a happy face. When Qin Fan saw Wang Haoran's reaction, he followed Wang Haoran's gaze and looked over. His eyes were filled with disdain as he wanted to see what kind of person his sister was. But after looking, Qin Fan was stunned for a few seconds. Soon after, his heart was filled with ecstasy. "Yaiwa, what a coincidence. I actually met you here." Qin Fan was worried about how to find Tantai Yaiwa. Unexpectedly, they met today. Could it be that this was the fate of the underworld? Qin Fan secretly thought like this. Tantai Yaiwa walked over and naturally noticed Qin Fan. She was also surprised and happy. Master, you also went down the mountain. Yes. Not long after you left, I also went down the mountain. Qin Fan replied. Then, he realized something and glanced at Wang Haoren. His expression was a bit strange as he asked Tantai Yaoyue. He's your brother? Yes. Tantai Yaoyue nodded. Sister, he wanted to hit me and said he wanted me to kneel and beg for forgiveness. Wang Haoren complained. Qin Fan was a bit embarrassed. Master, you're an expert. How can you bully my brother? He's just a normal person. Tantai Yaoyue respected Qin Fan, but cared more about Wang Haoren. She unhappily frowned and looked at Qin Fan. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Qin Fan hurriedly explained. Then, he looked at Wang Haoren again. When he was deep in the mountains, he had heard Tantai Yaoyue vaguely mention that she had 6 younger sisters and 1 younger brother. Even though they were not related by blood, they were no different from family. Tantai Yaoyue's little brother. It should be this person in front of him, right? Qin Fan had impure thoughts towards this beautiful disciple of his. After seeing how protective Tantai Yaoyue was of him, how could he continue bickering with Wang Haoren? Moreover, Tantai Yaoyue's words were very true. He was an expert outside of this world. Dealing with ordinary people of the secular world was indeed beneath his dignity. Haoren, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Tantai Yaoyue walked to Wang Haoren's side and asked nervously. She knew that Wang Haoren had a lot of strange tricks up his sleeves. Naturally, she was afraid that Wang Haoren would be caught unaware. Yaoyue, I didn't do anything to him. Don't worry. Before Wang Haoren could answer, Qin Fan hurriedly defended himself. When Tantai Yaoyue heard this, she relaxed a bit. I misspoke just now. Sorry. Qin Fan took the initiative to extend his hand towards Wang Haoren. He had a friendly smile on his face. His initial impression of Wang Haoren was not very good, but he cared a lot about Tantai Yaoyue. Naturally, he wanted to form a good relationship with Wang Haoren. Moreover, in the future, he would be together with Tantai Yaoyue. This Wang Haoren would be his little brother-in-law. Qin Fan did not want to have any conflicts with his future little brother-in-law. It would make it difficult for Tantai Yaoyue to act in the middle. No problem. Since you are my elder sister's master, then you are one of us. When Wang Haoren saw that things were going according to his plan, he naturally extended his hand in a friendly manner and shook it. Qin Fan saw his future little brother-in-law being so magnanimous, and the smile on his face became even wider. Ding! Host disguise is successful. You have obtained the friendship of the main character Qin Fan. Host has obtained 2,800 villain points. Qin Fan's main character aura minus 140. Host villain aura plus 140. Wang Haoren secretly received a wave of generous rewards and was secretly shocked. As expected of a main character with over 10,000 main character aura, the rewards he provided were really quite generous. He originally thought that 140,000 villain points was very far away, but now it seemed that it was not as difficult as he thought. In Wang Haoren's heart, he already had a clear plan to deal with Qin Fan. Forming a good relationship with Qin Fan and being friendly on the surface was only the first step of the plan. Next, he would secretly deal with Qin Fan's disciples. Qin Fan had 99 strong disciples. In his main storyline, these disciples would definitely occupy a large part of the screen. As long as he dealt with Qin Fan's disciples, he could change the direction of the storyline and obtain a large amount of villain points. As for the method to deal with Qin Fan's disciples, Wang Haoren also had a rough idea. In short, the method to deal with male and female disciples was different. When the villain points accumulated to a certain degree, they would exchange it for cultivation. When his strength surpassed Qin Fan, he could lay all his cards on the table and send him to heaven. Cousin Haoren, what is going on? Didn't you call people to teach him a lesson? Why are you calling him family? Zhen Shuai was shocked by Tantai Yaoyue's appearance. He was stunned for a long time before coming back to his senses. Haoren, is he your cousin? After Qin Fan changed his mind, even the way he addressed him became more intimate. Wang Haoren nodded in response to Qin Fan and comforted Zhen Shuai. Cousin, you see, we are all on the same side. Let's just forget about this matter. I was slapped a few times by him. How can I just forget about it? Jin Shui was somewhat dissatisfied. Don't talk nonsense. This matter ends here. Go back to where you came from. Otherwise, I will... Wang Haoran spoke halfway and suddenly stopped. Okay, I will leave. I will leave immediately. Zhan Shui realized what he wanted to say and quickly interrupted him. He left with his tail between his legs. Your cousin is not a good person. He blocked people on the street and asked for the contact of beautiful women. He is like a hooligan. You are right to keep your distance from him. Well done. After Qin Fan saw Zhan Shui leave, he used a lecturing tone to speak to Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran was secretly unhappy, but on the surface, he pretended to be surprised. So, my cousin was slapped for hitting on beautiful women. Qin Fan was surprised. What did your cousin say to you? He said he was hit by someone on the street. Not only did the other party not apologize, they even hit him. Wang Haoran began to bluff. Your cousin lied to you, Qin Fan replied. He once again sized up Wang Haoran, understanding him a bit more. He felt that this future brother-in-law, who didn't seem like a good person, was actually not bad. He was just a bit naive and easily deceived. This guy, I will never believe him again. Wang Haoran took the opportunity to complain, trying to make Qin Fan believe that he was deceived. Then, he looked at Tantai Yaoyue. Sister, I'll treat you. What do you want to eat? Anything. Tantai Yaoyue smiled indifferently. What to eat? She really didn't care. What she cared about was who she was eating with. Wang Haoran made the decision and ordered the same food for Tantai Yaoyue. Not long after, the waiter brought the food over. Qin Fan had already eaten breakfast and was sitting at the table. Since he was bored, his gaze frequently sized up Tantai Yaoyue, a beauty that could cause a calamity. Every frown and smile of hers was so moving. Even her actions while eating were extremely pleasing to the eye. While sizing her up, Qin Fan suddenly pinched his fingers to calculate Tantai Yaoyue's marriage fate. A moment later, his face was filled with surprise and joy. Tantai Yaoyue saw Qin Fan sizing her up from the corner of her eyes. She asked curiously, Master, is there something on my face? Master has just divined your marriage fate, Qin Fan said with a smile. Tantai Yaoyue quickly swallowed the food in her mouth. Her face was filled with excitement as she hurriedly asked, What did you calculate? Your Reborn star has moved. A happy occasion is near. Qin Fan's expression was indifferent, but the excitement in his heart could not be described with words. Wang Haoran was sitting on the side, playing with his phone. After hearing these words, he suddenly raised his head in shock, looking at Tantai Yaoyue. Chapter 440. Tantai Yaoyue sized up Wang Haoran and then looked at Qin Fan in disbelief. Master, you're not joking, right? I'm speaking the truth. I'm not joking. Qin Fan replied formally. When Tantai Yaoyue received this definite answer, she couldn't help but feel happy. She knew that Qin Fan knew physiognomy. Since Qin Fan had said so, then it must be true. Tantai Yaoyue looked forward to it, a faint blush appearing on her face. However, Tantai Yaoyue was shy and said, Master, disciple wants to focus on ancient martial arts and has never thought about marriage. Qin Fan saw this and guessed that Tantai Yaoyue was speaking against her heart. He couldn't help but persuade her. Yaoyue, marriage. Since you've come, you must grasp it well. If you miss it in the future, it will be too late to regret. Tantai Yaoyue fell into deep thought. Qin Fan saw this and was even more certain that Tantai Yaoyue seemed to have someone she liked. But who was this person? Could it be him? With that thought in mind, Qin Fan began to make indirect inquiries. Yaoyue, Master is not an outsider. If you have something on your mind, you can tell Master. On the side, Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. Tantai Yaoyue wouldn't reveal the matter of her falling in love with him, right? However, thinking about it, it didn't seem likely. He was here. Even if Tantai Yaoyue wanted to tell Qin Fan, she would not choose this kind of place. After all, if she said it, it would be considered a confession. Since it was a confession, how could she do it in front of Qin Fan? If she wanted to confess, she would do it in private. Moreover, Tantai Yaoyue cared about Qiu Qianwei and would not casually say it out. 9 out of 10 things in life don't go your way. There are some things that I can't do as I please. Tantai Yaoyue sighed, answering Qin Fan's words. When Qin Fan heard this, he immediately felt that the person Tantai Yaoyue liked was not ordinary. There seemed to be some kind of external force or identity that prevented Tantai Yaoyue from being together with him. Tantai Yaoyue had lived in the mountains for 3 years. Other than herself, she had never seen another man. He had all kinds of abilities. In this world, was there any other man who could be more outstanding than him? Of course not. If she didn't like him, who else could she like? After clarifying this point, Qin Fan was overjoyed. He was Tantai Yaoyue's master. Their identities were indeed a bit sensitive. If they were together, they would definitely be criticized and gossiped about. What Tantai Yaoyue was worried about was these worldly views. Also, Tantai Yaoyue wasn't sure if she liked her or not. After all, when he was deep in the mountains because of the system's ban, he acted too gentlemanly and completely treated Tantai Yaoyue as his disciple. Tantai Yaoyue would naturally feel that he had no romantic feelings for her. With that thought in mind, Qin Fan really wanted to say, "Master has liked you for a long time. He often misses you so much that he can't sleep at night." However, due to Wang Haoran's presence and his own identity, it was inconvenient for him to speak his mind. Qin Fan thought for a moment and then explained, "Yaoyue, you practice ancient martial arts and can't be considered a worldly person. You don't need to care too much about the thoughts of worldly people. Follow your heart. That is the right way. Otherwise, if your heart is depressed, it will hinder your cultivation." When Tantai Yaoyue heard these extremely philosophical words, her perplexed eyes suddenly revealed a trace of clarity. However, she still had some concerns. "Master, I understand," Tantai Yaoyue said solemnly, glancing at Wang Haoran from the corner of her eyes. She asked Qin Fan nervously, "Then should I let nature take its course, or should I take the initiative to do something?" Qin Fan pondered. If he let nature take its course, that would be waiting for him to express his feelings. However, if he did that, then wouldn't his previous gentlemanly image collapse? If that was the case, Tantai Yaoyue would inevitably suspect that he had bad intentions and was a hypocrite. In this short period of time, Qin Fan quickly made a rational decision. Although physiognomy can predict the future, it can only be an omen and can't truly foresee the future, because there are many uncertain factors that affect the direction of things. If nature takes its course, marriage may also arrive. However, compared to taking the initiative, the probability is much, much smaller. In short, your red lawn stars have moved. This is the sign of marriage, but whether or not you can grasp it is unknown. In order to not expose his true intentions, Qin Fan only spoke according to physiognomy. However, when these words fell into Tantai Yaoyue's ears, it caused her expression to change, her eyes revealing the light of contemplation. She seemed to be considering how to take the initiative. Qin Fan saw the change in her expression and was inwardly delighted. After teaching Tantai Yaoyue in the mountains for 3 years, Qin Fan had maintained his gentlemanly demeanor on the surface and did not even look directly at Tantai Yaoyue. However, he was secretly craving for her to death. In the dead of the night, Qin Fan felt uncomfortable from holding it in and would often amuse himself. After holding it in for 10 years in the mountains, a man full of energy and with a normal body naturally needed some methods to adjust himself. Otherwise, it would drive people crazy. Fortunately, after the bitter, the sweet came. When this female disciple of his took the initiative, he would pretend to decline and then agree. At that time, his long-cherished wish would be fulfilled. Wang Haoran acted as a spectator the entire time, listening to Qin Fan and Tantai Yaoyue's conversation and observing the changes in their expressions. He was naturally able to tell that Qin Fan had other thoughts in his heart. However, Qin Fan would never have thought that Tantai Yaoyue was thinking of someone else. What Tantai Yaoyue was worried about was not the master identity as Qin Fan thought, but Shou Qinwei's thoughts as well as the separation of brother and sister. Wang Haoran laughed inwardly. While Qin Fan was kept in the dark, he couldn't help but worry about himself. If Tantai Yaoyue really confessed, then how should he respond? If he agreed, he would not be able to maintain the sister and brother relationship, and Qin Fan would view him as an enemy. If that was the case, then his plan would not be able to proceed smoothly. However, if he did not agree, then it would be a pity. After all, Tantai Yaoyu was the most important female lead. The female lead halo was extremely high. If he confirmed his relationship with Tantai Yaoyu, then he would be able to obtain a vast amount of villain points and halo points. Also, this was sustainable. It was like harvesting leeks. They would continue to grow after being harvested, while gradually improving himself. He could also reduce Qin Fan's protagonist halo and indirectly weaken his luck. Could he maintain the sister and brother relationship with Tantai Yaoyu while harvesting leeks? Wang Haoren wanted to have the best of both worlds. However, how should this plan be carried out? Tantai Yaoyu was the eldest sister of the seven sisters, a very opinionated person with strong self-awareness. Taking advantage of her and wanting to wipe his mouth clean and not admit it. Was this possible? Chapter 441. The three people at the table each had their own thoughts. After some time, Tantai Yaoyu finished eating. Tantai Yaoyu was thinking about some things, so she was a bit restless. After saying goodbye to Qin Fan, she prepared to leave. Wang Haoren and Tantai Yaoyu were going the same way, so they naturally went together. Before leaving, Tantai Yaoyu asked Qin Fan, "Master, the marriage you calculated for me, if I miss it this time, will there still be one in the future? I'm not a deity. I can't calculate things so far away. But I have some words for you. Opportunities are fleeting." Qin Fan saw that she was still hesitating, so he said these words in a profound manner, wanting to strengthen Tantai Yaoyu's confidence. After speaking, he calmly and confidently left. He had already said enough. Tantai Yaoyu should have already made a decision in her heart. All he needed to do was to wait. "Sister, let's go back." Wang Haoren watched Qin Fan get on the car and leave, then said to Tantai Yaoyu. Tantai Yaoyu was in a daze because of Qin Fan's words. After hearing Wang Haoren's voice, she quickly came back to her senses. The Pagani slowly moved under the envious and worshipful gazes of the passers-by. It quickly drove away. In the car, Wang Haoren controlled the steering wheel, his eyes staring at the situation on the road ahead. But from the corner of his eyes, he sensed that Tantai Yaoyu was frequently looking at him. His heart couldn't help but thump. If Tantai Yaoyu directly said it, he wouldn't know whether to respond or not to respond. It was really a very difficult question to ask. However, after the car drove for a while, Tantai Yaoyu didn't say anything, only using her eyes to secretly size him up. Wang Haoren immediately understood that Tantai Yaoyu still hadn't made up her mind. Or to be more precise, she wanted to make complete preparations before telling him about this matter. After sorting out these things, Wang Haoren felt a bit more relaxed. Then his thoughts moved, wanting to instill some thoughts into Tantai Yaoyu. "Sister, can I ask you a question?" Wang Haoren suddenly said. "What do you want to ask?" "Speak." Tantai Yaoyu said. "Do you have someone you like?" Tantai Yaoyu's expression froze, but after thinking about it, she felt that there was no need to deny it. After all, when she was talking with Qin Fan just now, Wang Haoren was right next to her. He must have seen something. "Yes," Tantai Yaoyu replied. "But why did you look so conflicted just now?" Wang Haoren asked. "I have someone I like, that's right. But if I want to be with him, it is not a simple matter." Tantai Yaoyu said with a worried expression. "Sister, do you like a married man?" Wang Haoren pretended to make a bold guess and asked. "Of course not." Tantai Yaoyu immediately shook her head, taking a deep look at Wang Haoren before quickly adding, "However, it's not too far off. No wonder Big Sister is so troubled." Wang Haoren pretended not to understand her gaze and responded sympathetically. Then, he asked with concern, "Then what do you plan to do?" "I want to tell him, but I'm afraid of hurting someone I don't want to hurt." Tantai Yaoyu frowned. "You can secretly tell him. If he also likes you, then you can secretly be together. Wouldn't that be fine?" After asking for a long time, they finally talked about this problem. Wang Haoren gave her an idea, wanted to guide her thoughts. If Tantai Yaoyu was willing to listen, then wouldn't the matter be perfectly solved? But Wang Haoren did not have time to look forward to it when he heard Tantai Yaoyu's slightly proud voice. "That won't do. I don't do sneaky things, and I won't wrong myself like this. That's true. Wang Haoran laughed and agreed. At the same time, he had a rough estimate of Tantai Yaoyue's attitude. As expected, Tantai Yaoyue was as he had guessed. Her self-awareness was very strong, and she was very proud. She was not like Qiu Qianwei and the others. Or more accurately, 80 favorability was not enough for Tantai Yaoyue to wrong herself like this. If it was 90, then there might be a possibility. However, it was very difficult to improve on a foundation of 80 points. I think I almost forgot something. Wang Haoran's eyes lit up. He immediately communicated with the system and gave the command to use the Charm Halo on Tantai Yaoyue. Ding! Charm Halo and Super Peach Blossom Halo cannot be stacked. Charm Halo has failed. At this point, Wang Haoran completely understood. It was impossible to get a free heart. In this somewhat depressed mood, Wang Haoran sent Tantai Yaoyue to Lu Yu's villa. Wang Haoran waved goodbye. There were some trucks outside the villa. There were some delivery men who were moving some furniture like beds into the villa. Tantai Yaoyue walked in and saw Lu Yu arranging things, letting people decorate the room. Seeing this scene, Tantai Yaoyue was not surprised. There were more and more people living in the villa. The original 4 bedrooms were not enough. Recently, the sisters had been sleeping in pairs. Lu Yu had mentioned last night that she wanted to redecorate the house. She wanted to change some of the rooms like the gym and lounge into bedrooms. After half a morning, the bedrooms were finally finished. The villa had 2 floors. After redecorating, each floor had 4 bedrooms, adding up to 8 rooms. The 7 sisters each had 1 room, and the smallest room was used as a guest room. There was a number sign outside the room of the 7 sisters to prevent people from making a mistake. From 1 to 7, it corresponded to the 7 sisters. Tantai Yaoyue's room was number 1, and it was the largest and most spacious. After Lu Yu paid the bill, the workers left. Were her 7th sister and the others. Other than Lu Yu, Tantai Yaoyue did not see any other sisters, so she asked in confusion. 2nd sister, 3rd sister, 4th sister, 6th sister, and 7th sister all went to buy groceries. Lu Yu replied, "Buy groceries?" Tantai Yaoyue was surprised. 7th sister plans to show off the results of her long practice and invite her boyfriend to dinner tonight. Lu Yu said. Tantai Yaoyue nodded, but felt it was strange and asked, "But do they need so many people to buy groceries?" 7th sister originally only called 3rd sister, but 2nd sister, 3rd sister, 4th sister, and 6th sister also wanted to go, so they followed. Lu Yu explained. Tantai Yaoyue did not think too much about it. She thought that the sisters were afraid that Qiu Qianwei would not be able to carry so many things and wanted to help. 5th sister, do you know how to put on makeup? Tantai Yaoyue suddenly asked. It's an essential skill for women, okay? Of course I know. Lu Yu subconsciously replied, but she quickly noticed that Tantai Yaoyue's face sunk. She hurriedly said, "Big sister, you're so beautiful. It's fine even if you don't put on makeup. It's fine if you don't. Teach me how to put on makeup," Tantai Yaoyue commanded. She was a natural beauty. Her figure, temperament, and appearance were rare in the world. However, the makeup and dressing up could still add to the points. Moreover, like Lu Yu said, as a woman, these skills were essential. A woman would put on makeup for her lover. She did not care before, but it was different now. Chapter 442. With Lu Yu's help, Tantai Yaoyue changed into a new outfit and put on beautiful makeup. The makeup and clothes were all 7th sister Qiu Qianwei's. When everything was done, Tantai Yaoyue stood in front of the mirror and spun in a circle, nodding her head as if she was very satisfied. Tantai Yaoyue's makeup and outfit gave people the feeling of a gentle and sweet style. After sizing him up, Lu Yu gave him a suggestion. "Eldest sister, I think you're more suited for the cold and aloof style. This kind of gentle and sweet style is 7th sister's style." Before dressing up, she had specially mentioned it to Tantai Yaoyue, but Tantai Yaoyue insisted on dressing up like this. Lu Yu thought that since she had nothing to do, she might as well follow Tantai Yaoyue's suggestion. However, after seeing the effect, Lu Yu still felt that eldest sister was more suited for the cold and aloof style. Tantai Yaiwe admired herself in the mirror with a smile on her face. After hearing Lu Yu's words, her smile faded. "What did you say?" Lu Yu smelled a bad feeling and her mouth twitched. She quickly changed her words. "I said, eldest sister, you're too suited for this kind of gentle and sweet style. You're even more suited than seventh sister." Tantai Yaiwe heard this, and her expression relaxed. She continued to spin in circles and admire herself in the mirror. Her figure was similar to Chiu Qianwei's. If there was a difference, it would be that her curves were more exaggerated than Chiu Qianwei's. But from the back, she was exactly the same as Chiu Qianwei, especially when she wore Chiu Qianwei's clothes and had the same hairstyle as Chiu Qianwei. "You should like it, right?" Tantai Yaiwe admired herself as she muttered to herself. Lu Yu watched from the side and felt it was a bit strange. She could also see that eldest sister's outfit was similar to seventh sister's. However, she did not think too much about it and thought that eldest sister liked seventh sister's outfit. Thus, she followed seventh sister's style. However, Lu Yu still firmly believed that eldest sister was more suited for the cold and aloof style. After a while, there was a commotion outside the door. Chiu Qianwei and the others had returned from buying groceries. Tantai Yaiwe and Lu Yu went to the hall to take a look. They saw that Chiu Qianwei and the others were carrying a lot of groceries. It looked like they had moved the market over. "Seventh sister, you bought so many groceries. Are you really planning to cook yourself?" Tantai Yaiwe was very doubtful. "Eldest sister, don't worry. Sixth sister and I have been lab rats for a long time. I can tell you with certainty that seventh sister is very talented in cooking." Lu Yu said. "Agreed." Ji Shuiyao agreed. Luo Qingxian, Bian Suan, and Bu Fian nodded in agreement. They had come a little later than Lu Yu and Ji Shuiyao, but they had still been lab rats a few times. Chiu Qianwei's culinary skills had indeed been steadily improving. When Tantai Yaiwe heard her sister speak like this, she couldn't help but look at Chiu Qianwei with admiration. Inwardly, he sighed, "Seventh sister really has a lot of talents, and is also very virtuous. She played the piano so well and was so talented in cooking. It could be said that she was good at everything. Compared to seventh sister, he didn't seem to have any other skills other than his strength." "Big sister, why are you dressed like this?" Chiu Qianwei looked strangely at Tantai Yaiwe and asked. "I think your makeup and outfit are pretty good, so I want to learn from you. The makeup, clothes, and perfume are all yours, you don't mind, right?" Tantai Yaiwe said. "Why would I? We are good sisters. Isn't what's mine yours? Why are you being so polite?" Chiu Qianwei smiled. When Tantai Yaiwe heard this, she felt very happy, especially when she heard the words, "Isn't what's mine yours?" She felt an indescribable excitement. "Eldest sister, seventh sister, you two stand together and look." Luo Qingxian seemed to have discovered something and suddenly said. Tantai Yaiwe and Chiu Qianwei didn't understand, but out of curiosity, they still stood together. Luo Qingxian walked behind the two and looked. "Come over and look from the back. Eldest sister and seventh sister really look alike." Luo Qingxian waved to the other sisters. Bian Suan, Bu Fian, and the others all walked to Luo Qingxian's side and found that it was indeed so. "They really look alike if you two wear the same clothes, just from the back. I probably won't be able to tell who is who." Bian Suan sighed. "Why don't we try and see if you can guess?" Tantai Yaiwe was excited and suggested. Since eldest sister had spoken, the other sisters didn't dare to disagree. Also, this suggestion was a little interesting. But Chiu Qianwei didn't have two identical clothes. But this wasn't a big problem. Luo Qingxian and the others turned their backs. Tantai Yaiwe and Chiu Qianwei returned to their room to change. This avoided the problem of recognizing them from their clothes. After changing, the two stood with their backs facing each other. "You can guess now," Tantai Yaiwe reminded. Luo Qingxian and the others turned around and looked at their backs. "I think the one on the left is eldest sister. The one on the right is seventh sister." Luo Qingxian guessed. "I think the one on the left is seventh sister. The one on the right is eldest sister." Bian Su said. "I think the same as third sister." Bu Fian said. I support second sister. Lu Yu said. Support third sister. Ji Shueiyao said. Guessing the one on the left was Chiu Qianwei, there was one more vote. After the sisters finished guessing, Tantai Yao Yu and Chiu Qianwei turned around and revealed the answer. The result was the one on the left was Tantai Yao Yu, the one on the right was Chiu Qianwei. Luo Qingqian and Lu Yu guessed correctly. Tantai Yao Yu's interest didn't diminish, making Luo Qingqian and the others turn around. She went back in her room with Chiu Qianwei to change. After coming out, she turned around and let the others guess. This repeated many times. Everyone quickly found out, judging from the back, it was completely based on luck. Tantai Yao Yu was secretly happy. The more similar it was to Chiu Qianwei, the happier she was. Seventh sister, your number 7 room is a bit small. I'll give you my biggest number 1 room. Tantai Yao Yu suddenly suggested. I'm the youngest. Sleeping in the smallest room is normal. There's no need. Chiu Qianwei declined. It's because you're the youngest. Of course I'll give you the biggest room. Tantai Yao Yu said naturally. Luo Qingqian and the others were envious. But there was no choice. Chiu Qianwei was everyone's younger sister. It was normal for her to be pampered. Eldest sister, you're too good to me. Chiu Qianwei was touched. It's normal. Tantai Yao Yu pinched her cheeks lovingly, then added, if eldest sister makes you unhappy in the future, you can't argue with eldest sister, understand? Although you sometimes restrict me and even scold me, it's for my own good, I understand. Chiu Qianwei and Tantai Yao Yu weren't on the same channel. Chapter 443. In the morning, Wang Haoren received a call from Chiu Qianwei inviting him to dinner. In the evening, he arrived at Lu Yu's villa as promised. He pressed the doorbell outside the villa and waited for a while. Lu Yu opened the door and welcomed Wang Haoren in. He came to the living room. However, there was no one else in the living room. The faint sound of pots and pans could be heard from the kitchen. Seventh sister is in charge of the kitchen. The others are busy in the kitchen, Lu Yu said when she saw Wang Haoren's suspicious look. Wei Wei is in charge of the kitchen. Wang Haoren was surprised. Chiu Qianwei was very good at playing the piano. Wang Haoren naturally knew this. However, he doubted that she knew how to cook. A pianist's hands were very precious. As far as he knew, Chiu Qianwei had bought a lot of insurance for her hands. Could such precious hands be used to cook? Wei Wei learned it secretly after she got together with you. The other sisters have been guinea pigs many times. I can tell you very responsibly that this dinner will not disappoint you. Lu Yu explained. Then, she looked at Wang Haoren seriously and said solemnly, Wei Wei is so good to you. You have to treat her well. Otherwise, as your master's wife, I will not let you off. Wang Haoren found it funny. He teased. Professor Lu, you haven't discovered it yet? Do you think you will definitely be my master's wife in the future? Your master and I have a good chat. Although we haven't discovered it yet, our relationship is stable. If we discover it, we will definitely be in a relationship. I will definitely be your master's wife. Lu Yu said proudly. She wanted to experience this feeling in advance. Be good. Let me hear you call me master's wife. It won't be too late for me to call you that when you two have discovered it. Wang Haoren smiled meaningfully. Lu Yu snorted. She was a little dissatisfied, but she did not continue to dwell on this issue. She sat on the sofa and suddenly picked up her phone to send a message. Hubby, I miss you so much. What are you doing? After sending the message, there was no reply for a long time. Wang Haoren saw this from the side and secretly smiled. Sorry, I didn't log into my alternate WeChat account. I'll go take a look in the kitchen, Wang Haoren said as he wanted to leave Lu Yu's line of sight. Then, he got up from the sofa and walked toward the kitchen. In the kitchen, there were 6 beautiful figures. Their postures were different, but their faces could not be seen. They were all busy. The space in the kitchen was neither too big nor too small, but it was still a little cramped when it accommodated 6 people. At the door, a figure with a backpack was busy doing something. When Wang Haoren saw her back and her clothes, he immediately recognized who she was. He reached out and hugged her, calling her softly. Wei Wei, thank you for your hard work. The figure clearly froze for a moment. You're here. A few meters away, Chiu Qianwei heard the noise and turned around to greet Wang Haoren. However, When she saw Wang Howren's actions, her pretty face instantly froze. The other busy figures also turned their heads. Li was outside. In front of her were Luo Qingqian, Biansuan, Bufian, Ji Shuiyao, and Qiu Qianwei. It was obvious who was missing. Wang Howren felt that his hands were burning, and he quickly retracted his arms that were about to hug her. The figure on his back turned around. Who else could it be other than Tantai Yaoyue? However, Tantai Yaoyue's makeup and outfit were too similar to Qiu Qianwei's. Qiu Qianwei stopped stirring the eggs, put down the bowl, and hurried over. She shielded Wang Howren behind her and said nervously, "Big sister, he mistook you for me. Let's talk nicely. Don't hit him." Tantai Yaoyue's heart raced, but she did not show it on her face. She looked at Wang Howren indifferently. "Forget it this time. Be careful next time." "He won't do it next time," Qiu Qianwei replied on behalf of Wang Howren. "Go rest in the living room. We'll take care of things here. You don't need to help," Qiu Qianwei said gently. "Yeah, you're a guest," Biansuan added. "Yeah, just wait for the meal." Other than Tantai Yaoyue, who pretended to be cold in order to maintain her dignity in front of her sister, Luo Qingqian and the others all agreed. Wang Howren nodded. He did not want to help at all. He just felt uncomfortable trying to hold back his laughter. He avoided Lu Yu and went to the kitchen. Back in the living room, Lu Yu sat on the sofa and looked at the graph on the laptop screen. She kept looking at the phone next to her. Qiu Qianwei was the chef, and Tantai Yaoyue and the others all went to help. They all wanted to show their virtuous side. However, Lu Yu did not have such thoughts. After all, the person who wanted her to show her virtuous side was not here. Lu Yu analyzed the stock market while waiting for news. During this time, her phone received a lot of messages and vibrated many times. Every time Lu Yu heard her phone vibrate, she thought that her husband had replied. But when she picked it up, she realized that it was from some students or colleagues. Lu Yu was disappointed so many times that she was not in the mood to analyze the stock market anymore. She was focused on waiting for her husband's reply. Wang Howren saw her sad face, so he secretly logged into his Smurf account and messaged her. Lu Yu was overjoyed. She was so excited that she could not control her emotions and laughed out loud. But she was worried that Wang Howren was here, so she quickly stopped. Wang Howren looked at her with a smile. "What are you looking at?" Lu Yu felt that she was being teased. She immediately put on the airs of a teacher's wife and glared at Wang Howren. "I'm looking at how pretty you are," Wang Howren said casually. "How rude." Lu Yu felt that Wang Howren was a little frivolous. She put on the airs of a teacher's wife and glared at him. Wang Howren shut up. Lu Yu was satisfied with Wang Howren's attitude and did not argue with him. Then, she continued to chat with her husband. But her husband suddenly said that he was busy and did not want to chat anymore. Lu Yu could not help but feel depressed. After some time, dinner was finally served. The 8 of them sat in a circle, opened a few bottles of red wine, and started to eat. Qiu Qianwei's culinary skills were not as good as a chef's, but they were still remarkable. The dishes he made tasted pretty good. The scene was joyous and harmonious. Everyone chatted as they ate, and from time to time, they would talk about some interesting things. Time passed quietly. The meal lasted for a long time. Looking at the clock on the wall, it was already 11 p.m. "It's late. I should go back." Wang Howren stood up and said goodbye. "You drank a lot of red wine just now. Will it be okay for you to walk back alone?" Qiu Qianwei asked with concern. "No problem." Wang Howren patted his chest confidently. He would not get drunk even if he drank a few bottles of red wine, let alone a few glasses. But Qiu Qianwei did not think so. She was not worried at first, but after hearing Wang Howren's confidence, she started to worry. She only felt that he was drunk. "You can stay here. There's an empty guest room anyway." Although it was not far, Qiu Qianwei was worried that Wang Howren would go back in the middle of the night, so she suggested. "All right." Wang Howren nodded nonchalantly. It was late at night. Everyone went back to their rooms to rest. Buzz, buzz. Wang Howren was in high spirits. He was playing with his phone when he suddenly received a message from Qiu Qianwei. "I can't sleep." Wang Howren understood instantly and quietly walked out of the guest room. The dim moonlight shone through the window and softly fell on the floor of the room. Wang Haoran could see the obstacles and recognize the room number. Room 1 to 7. Obviously, Qiu Qianwei was the 7th, so she must be staying in room 7. Moreover, the door of room 7 was still ajar. Was there need to think? Wang Haoran sneaked into room 7. Chapter 444. The curtains covered the window, the moonlight was blocked, and the room was pitch black. Wang Haoran's X-ray vision had night vision, but he could only see the layout of the room and distinguish where the person was. He could not see the details. Wei Wei. Although he was almost certain who was in the room, but just in case, Wang Haoran still called out softly. The person in the room was originally asleep, but after hearing this slight movement, she woke up. Tantai Yaoyue was not an ordinary person. Even when she was asleep, she still maintained vigilance. When Wang Haoran came in, she had already woken up, but she could not see who it was. But the number of people in the room was limited. She subconsciously thought it might be a younger sister. The newly decorated bedroom did not all have a washroom. She thought it was a younger sister who went to the wrong room in the middle of the night. She was about to react and ask, "Who is it?" But when she heard the other person's soft call, the words at the tip of her tongue stopped. The person's voice was very familiar. Tantai Yaoyue could naturally recognize who it was, and she had also guessed the other person's intention. This room was the smallest. It was originally 7th Sister's room, but in order to please 7th Sister, she changed rooms with 7th Sister. The other person must have had bad intentions to come here. Tantai Yaoyue wanted to cough and let the other person know that she went to the wrong room. That would ease the awkwardness between both sides. Your red lawn stars move. A happy occasion is near. The opportunity is fleeting. However, just as Tantai Yaoyue had this thought, she suddenly recalled some of Qin Fan's words. She had not spoken yet, and the other person obviously did not know. If she did not speak, then the other person would definitely think that she was 7th Sister, right? Under a free combination of factors, wouldn't it be logical? If so, wouldn't Master's prediction come true? Thinking like this, Tantai Yaoyue could not help but feel a strong sense of admiration for Qin Fan. Master said that her marriage was near. It was indeed true, and whether or not she could grasp it depended on herself. The situation in front of her eyes, success or failure, it was all dependent on her thoughts. Wei Wei. Tantai Yaoyue did not speak. While she was thinking, the familiar call sounded again. Moreover, from the sound of it, it seemed to be very close. Clearly, the other party had gotten much closer. Tantai Yaoyue's thoughts spun rapidly, and she decided to follow her master's teachings. The opportunity was fleeting. As soon as he stretched out his hand, he came into contact with an arm that slowly pulled him over. Wang Haoran naturally sensed it and was certain that his judgment was correct. He didn't go the wrong way. Ding! Host has stolen the female lead Tantai Yaoyue for the first time. Reward, 12,000 villain points. Tantai Yaoyue female, lead Halo -600. Qin Fan protagonist Halo -600. Host villain Halo -1,200. Oh! Wang Haoran was panicking. At first, he felt that he was right. But halfway through, he realized that he was wrong. He was ridiculously wrong. Although the other party had been silent all this while they were gradually getting into a good mood. It wasn't as if the other party could remain silent just because he wanted to. Wang Haoran wasn't deaf, so how could he not tell the difference in tone? However, could he give up halfway? Of course, he had to finish what he started. He was already wrong. Half a mistake is a complete mistake. Everything is a mistake, and it's a mistake to the end. But what should he do now? Qin Fan, this cheating main character, his strength was off the charts. Tantai Yaoyue wasn't willing to suffer in silence. If Qin Fan knew, then he would be in trouble. Could it be that his evil villain career was going to be ended by Qin Fan? Wang Haoran wasn't willing. His brain quickly turned, thinking of a solution that would satisfy both sides. However, the person beside him didn't give him much time to think. "You, who are you?" In the darkness, Tantai Yaoyue suddenly spoke, pretending to be at a loss. Wang Haoran was speechless. Of course, he knew that she was pretending to save face. Wei Wei. Wang Haoran could only cooperate with her. "I'm not Wei Wei." Tantai Yaoyue's voice was mixed with cold anger. Most of the cold anger was fake, but there was also some truth to it. Although she was happy, she was also angry. Seventh sister was used to it, but she wasn't used to it. This bastard, Tantai Yayue wanted to beat him up, but she couldn't bear to. You are. Wang Haoran pretended to be frightened, as if he had discovered something big. Your big sister. Saying so, he immediately blamed her bitterly. Why didn't you say so earlier? Tantai Yayue was a bit angry, but also a bit ashamed. Actually, as long as she said something, this situation could be avoided. However, Tantai Yayue trusted her master's calculations. The opportunity was fleeting. But how could Tantai Yayue say this out loud? I thought I was dreaming. Tantai Yayue found a preposterous reason. However, it could cover up the awkwardness a bit. However, to prevent Wang Haoran from thinking about this preposterous reason, she hurriedly threw out a big question. Since it's like this, there must be a solution. Do you want to die, or do you want to live? This multiple-choice question carried a sense of threat. Wang Haoran could tell that if he chose to live, then he would have to bear the consequences. He even explained it to Qiu Qianwei. As the victim, Tantai Yaoyue's face would be preserved, and she would be able to sit in the position she wanted. Because Tantai Yaoyue could say to Qiu Qianwei, Seventh sister, I didn't kill your boyfriend because of our sisterly relationship. The hidden meaning of these words would be, Seventh sister, you know what to do, right? Qiu Qianwei would feel guilty, and because of her respect for Tantai Yaoyue, she would probably give up the main position. As expected of the big sister of the seven goddesses, her plan was really good. However, if things were to happen like this, Wang Haoran knew that he would be in trouble. If he chose to live, although he could live, he would be hated by Qin Fan and fall into an even greater danger. Qin Fan would misunderstand and ask about Tantai Yaoyue's marriage situation. Tantai Yaoyue would sit in the position and would not hide the situation from her respected master. At that time, Wang Haoran would not be far from death. But if he chose to die, he would be able to live, because Wang Haoran knew that Tantai Yaoyue would not really kill him. What was there to be afraid of? Since it was like this, why not take a gamble? I'm sorry. I didn't think that I would make such a mistake. It's all my fault. You, just kill me. Only death can pay for my sins. Just as Tantai Yaoyue was filled with hope, a voice mixed with pain and guilt sounded in her ears. Faintly, there was also the sound of slapping oneself and hammering one's chest. In the darkness, the smile on Tantai Yaoyue's face that she thought she had succeeded also stiffened after hearing these words. Chapter 445. Wang Haoran was experienced, and his acting skills were even more exquisite. Tantai Yaoyue believed his self-blame and pitiful act was true. Tantai Yaoyue was stunned for a long time. This matter was a bit different from what she expected. Tantai Yaoyue was caught off guard. Of course, she couldn't kill Wang Haoran. But if she just let it go, what would she become? She couldn't accept it. Tantai Yaoyue was silent. Wang Haoran acted pitiful for a while, and seeing that Tantai Yaoyue didn't respond, he prepared to use a super trick. He felt around the bed and pressed the light switch. The room instantly lit up. Wang Haoran looked around and quickly saw a small pair of scissors next to the makeup mirror. He immediately rushed over and picked up the scissors. It's all your fault. You made me wrong way, and hurt the person I respect the most. Wang Haoran's face was full of anger, and no one knew who he was talking to. He was about to pick up the scissors. Gotcha! In the nick of time, Wang Haoran's hand was grabbed. Wang Haoran's face was full of tears, and he turned his head to the side. This can't be entirely your fault. Why hurt yourself? Tantai Yaoyue felt very strange, and at the same time, she gritted her teeth. Shouldn't this kind of suicidal behavior be done by her? Why was it taken by the other party? But Wang Haoran didn't put down the scissors and wanted to say something. No, but pretend nothing happened. You scram. Tantai Yaoyue took back the scissors in his hand and said with a complicated tone. Wang Haoran wiped his tears and left with a sad face. He safely returned to the guest room. He was instantly overjoyed. On his phone, there were several messages from Qiu Qianwei. Right. I'm in room 1. Don't make a mistake. I miss you. Are you asleep? Hello. Okay, good night. There was a period of time between each message. Wang Haoran didn't reply immediately after seeing these messages. The next morning, only then did he reply. I drank some wine yesterday and fell asleep. Did you sleep well? Xiao Qianwei replied. It smells good. I didn't sleep well. Blame me, blame me. It's fine. I made breakfast. Get up and eat. All right. After replying with 2 words, Wang Haoran got up and washed up. A moment later, the 8 of them sat together and ate breakfast. Sisters, today's stock market trend is great. If you want to get rich, I can tell you the wealth password. Lu Yu ate her breakfast as she looked at the laptop screen beside her. He seemed very busy. Sister 5, what kind of stocks can I buy to make money today? Xiao Qianwei wanted to make some money to buy gifts for her boyfriend, so she asked excitedly. Lu Yu turned the laptop in her hand and looked at Xiao Qianwei. Buy these 3 stocks and you'll definitely make a profit. She was so confident because she had asked for her husband's opinion when chatting with him yesterday. If her husband said that it would rise, then it would definitely rise. Xiao Qianwei leaned her head in front of Lu Yu's laptop and memorized the 3 stock codes. She planned to buy them when the market opened. Let me take a look too. Ji Shuiyao was eating porridge. When she heard Lu Yu and Xiao Qianwei's conversation, she suddenly said something. Who would complain about having too much money? But if she used it as funding for scientific research, she could also buy gifts for people she liked. Why not? Which 3 stocks? Bufian was also very interested. She had her principles. When she accepted the mission, she only took 1 yuan. In fact, she wasn't very rich. After seeing how confident Lu Yu was, she also wanted to invest and make some money. Luo Qingxian and Bian Suan saw that their sisters were so interested and also joined in the fun. There was laughter all around. Tantai Yaoyue was in a bad mood. When she heard these voices, she felt even more irritated. If you want to eat, then eat. Be quiet. A cold voice rang out, and the noisy scene immediately quieted down. Xiao Qianwei and the others sat down and ate their breakfast obediently. They looked at their eldest sister in confusion. They saw that their eldest sister's beautiful face was tense. Her beautiful eyebrows were slightly furrowed. It was obvious that she was unhappy. Eldest sister, what's wrong? Are you not used to my room number 7? If you're not used to it, we can change back. Xiao Qianwei asked with concern. Crack. The chopsticks in Tantai Yaoyue's hand suddenly broke. It was fine if she didn't mention it. When she did, she felt even more indignant. Eldest sister, here you go. Luo Qingxian, who was the most educated, saw this scene and quickly took a new pair of chopsticks for Tantai Yaoyue. No need, it's fine. Tantai Yaoyue felt that there was no need to do this. The room could be changed back, but what had happened couldn't be changed. So why change it? Okay. Xiao Qianwei nodded in response. In the silence, everyone finished their breakfast. Eldest sister, do you still want me to help you with yesterday's gentle and sweet makeup? Lu Yu had class today and was preparing to put on makeup, but she suddenly thought of something and asked, I feel that what you said yesterday was right. I am more suited to the cold and big sister style. After Tantai Yaoyue imitated, she didn't get any benefits, so she decided to be herself. No problem. Lu Yu said, Wei, sisters, bye-bye. I'm going to class. Wang Haoran said to everyone with a spring-like smile. Tantai Yaoyue narrowed her eyes and looked at him. She had the urge to slap him to death. Wasn't this guy looking for death? Why was he acting like nothing had happened? Wang Haoran noticed Tantai Yaoyue's gaze and immediately gave her an innocent look. Tantai Yaoyue felt helpless. Although she was angry, she couldn't bear to hurt him. Don't talk about slapping him to death. She couldn't even bear to slap him. At most, she would imagine beating him. Wang Haoran waved his hand and left leisurely. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. In the mansion, Qin Fan looked at the phone that didn't have any activity, his face full of worry. Last time when he said goodbye to Tantai Yaoyue, the two exchanged contact information. However, Qin Fan didn't have money, so he didn't have a cell phone. So he used the mansion's phone number. Qin Fan held on to his excitement and waited for several days. But he didn't get a call from Tantai Yaoyue. He didn't understand. Logically speaking, This beautiful disciple of his should have taken the initiative after he had painstakingly advised her so much. But why wasn't there any activity at all? This female disciple was too hesitant. It's been several days, and she still hasn't decided. Master can't wait anymore. Chapter 446. Qin Fan went through a mental struggle and did not plan to continue waiting. He did not have any cash on him. In the few days of waiting, he could not go anywhere. Other than going to eat, he stayed in this mansion. The waiting time was rather boring. Adding on the 10 years he spent in the mountains, he had a habit. Because of his unrequited love and his boredom, he would entertain himself every day. Qin Fan did not want to continue and wanted to change this situation. He picked up the phone and dialed the number left by Tantai Yaoyue. After a few rings, someone answered the phone. "Hello, is this Master?" Tantai Yaoyue's questioning voice came from the phone. "It's me." Qin Fan maintained the image of an expert and calmly replied. He then asked, "Yaoyue, didn't Master predict your marriage before? Have you met your destined one?" He pretended not to know that Tantai Yaoyue liked him. His tone sounded like a master concerned about his disciple. After Tantai Yaoyue heard this, she did not speak for a long time. Several days had passed, and she had calmed down a lot. However, after being asked by Qin Fan, she inadvertently recalled the incident. Happiness, longing, melancholy, depression, and other emotions intertwined and lingered in Tantai Yaoyue's heart. Seeing that Tantai Yaoyue did not reply for a long time, Qin Fan was secretly happy. In his view, this disciple was too embarrassed to say that she liked him and was hesitating. Thinking this, Qin Fan hurriedly said, "Yaoyue, Master told you before that opportunities are fleeting. Did you meet the one you were destined to meet, and then you missed it because you were too reserved?" His words were full of hints and instigation. After saying this, Qin Fan began to wait, waiting for Tantai Yaoyue to make up her mind and confess. Then, he pretended to be surprised and tactfully refused, and then agreed. Like this, success came naturally. "That's right, Master. I missed it." Tantai Yaoyue's tone was very complicated. After Qin Fan heard this, he was stunned for a long time. This situation was quite different from what he had expected. "Yaoyue, did you really meet your destined one?" Qin Fan asked in fear. From Tantai Yaoyue's words, Qin Fan could tell that he had misunderstood. "The person she likes is not me at all. Master, you said that my red lawn star is moving and that a joyous occasion is approaching. Unfortunately, things do not go as planned." Tantai Yaoyue let out a long sigh. When Qin Fan heard this, he was completely certain of his guess. Instantly, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. It turned out that the person that his beautiful disciple liked was not him, but someone else. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing the protagonist Qin Fan's mentality to be damaged. The reward is 2,000 villain points, Qin Fan's protagonist aura minus 100, and the host's villain aura plus 100. Yaoyue, tell me the specifics of what happened. Perhaps I can help you solve your problems. Qin Fan pretended to be concerned. In his heart, he was thinking that after knowing who the other party was, before the other party and Tantai Yaoyue confirmed their relationship, he would destroy the other party's male ability to protect Tantai Yaoyue's innocence. Afterwards, he would destroy Tantai Yaoyue's relationship with that person and snatch her away. At that time, he would still be able to get what he wanted and take the lead. "Master, the matter is already in the past. I don't want to mention it again." Tantai Yaoyue did not even dare to tell her good sisters about this matter. How could she tell Qin Fan? She was someone who cared about her face and would definitely not spread this matter out. She planned to bury this matter in her stomach. "Master is not an outsider. What is there that you can't say to Master? Tell me about this matter, and Master will come up with an idea for you." Qin Fan said patiently. "Master, the matter of marriage, if we miss it, then we miss it. Right now, I just want to focus on cultivation and not care about matters of the heart." In order to prevent Qin Fan from continuing to ask, Tantai Yaoyue could only tell a lie. After Qin Fan heard this, he felt a bit better. Although Tantai Yaoyue did not say who that person was, from her tone, Qin Fan could tell that Tantai Yaoyue and that person's development was not smooth. Tantai Yaoyue even had a feeling that she was going to give up after receiving a blow. If that was the case, he still had chance. After chatting for a bit, Tantai Yao Yu's mood was not good, and she ended the call. Qin Fan was filled with emotions. He had waited for the landline for several days, but in the end, it was all in vain. He was naturally very depressed. The sun was shining brightly outside the window. Qin Fan wanted to go out for a stroll and get some fresh air. But after thinking about it, he could not help but feel a bit worried. In a big city, if one did not have money, the places one could go were too limited. It's already been several days. Is Chung Rue's 500 million still not ready? Qin Fan was a bit anxious. Calling Chung Rue to ask would be a loss of the demeanor of an expert. After thinking about it, Qin Fan decided to be patient and wait for 2 more days. In the afternoon, the sun was shining brightly. Wang Haoren closed his eyes and leisurely laid on a grass patch on the campus, basking in the sun. Not long after, he suddenly felt the warmth on his face decrease slightly. When he opened his eyes, he saw that the sunlight shining on his face was blocked by someone. Wang Haoren's gaze moved from the bottom up, from the graceful legs to the person's face. A pretty face with a frosty expression entered Wang Haoren's field of vision. It was Yun Churen. "What's the matter?" Wang Haoren asked with a smile. "You know very well what you've done," Yun Churen said with a sullen face. "I've done many things. I don't know which one you're talking about. Please enlighten me." Wang Haoren sat up straight and patted the grass on his body. Yun Churen stood and looked down at Wang Haoren, who was sitting on the grass. Her face was as dark as water. "You're the one who caused the abnormality in my body, aren't you?" "What abnormality?" Wang Haoren vaguely guessed what she meant, but he played dumb. Yin Churen was about to explain, but she suddenly retched. After she recovered, she gritted her teeth and said, "That's it. Don't you accuse me. What does your pregnancy have to do with me? You're not trying to accuse me and make me take over, are you? Do I look like someone who would take over?" Wang Haoren felt as if he had heard a joke. "I'm not pregnant," Yin Churen said coldly. After hearing that, Wang Haoren's laughter stopped abruptly. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Yun Churen. This woman seemed to have discovered something. "Didn't the little fairy doctor take your pulse? With her medical skills, it can't be fake." Wang Haoren was shocked, but he pretended to be puzzled. "Will a pregnant woman visit her relatives?" Yin Churen saw that Wang Haoren was still quibbling, so she threw out a common-sense question. As soon as she said that, Wang Haoren understood that he could not hide this matter anymore. As expected, a fake was a fake. No matter how careful one was, there would still be omissions. Chapter 447. Ever since Yun Churen's secret was exposed, she had been living in seclusion in the mansion. Wang Haoren learned about Yun Churen's whereabouts and movements from Yun Xian and Yuning. Wang Haoren's original plan was to wait for Yun Churen to return to the sect and sneak attack her with a mask and knock her out. Then, he would fake the scene of Yun Churen giving birth. In this way, Yun Churen would not casually find someone to take over and give it away for free. This matter could be brushed aside. As for whether Yun Churen would go for a checkup while she was away from Qingling, Wang Haoren also considered this. Yun Churen practiced martial arts, and her health was far better than ordinary people. There was no need for her to go to the hospital for a checkup in the short term. Moreover, Yun Churen was only 18 years old. If she went to the hospital alone at this age for a checkup, she would definitely attract strange looks. She would not be able to swallow her pride. Taking a step back, even if Yun Churen wanted to get a checkup, she should ask Bien Su. After all, Bien Su already knew. Yun Churen did not care whether it was embarrassing or not. Therefore, Wang Haoren never thought that Yun Churen would be found to be faking her pregnancy through the checkup. However, Wang Haoren did not realize a common-sense problem. Wang Haoren had a hunch that this matter could not be hidden, but he still wanted to struggle and said in surprise, "You're not pregnant." "So you're not pregnant. It's the fairy doctor's mistake." "You're right. With the little fairy doctor's medical skills, it's impossible for her to misdiagnose my pulse. The only explanation is that she deliberately lied." Yun Churen looked at Wang Haoren with a scrutinizing gaze. "The two of you deliberately colluded with each other. When I followed Bien Su that day, she must have found out about me. When I was unprepared, the little fairy doctor pretended to be someone else and drugged me. This is also why I felt that person's face was stiff at that time. If I'm not wrong, the little fairy doctor must have been wearing a human skin mask. After the little fairy doctor drugged me, you came in and did something to me. Then, you framed Lu Chun. Your goal is to take revenge on Yin Yin Tian and that Lu Chun. I'm just an innocent person who was implicated. I'm just a pawn that was used. As she spoke, her emotions were unusually agitated. As she clenched her fists, the sound of her joints cracking could be heard. Yin Charn's guess was actually pretty close to the mark. The only mistake he made was that he thought Bien Suen was the one who had drugged him. Logically speaking, Yin Charn should have asked Bien Su about it. However, he had come to look for him first. It was obvious that Yin Charn was afraid of falling into Bien Suen's trap, so she picked on the weakest one. However, Yin Charn had really picked the wrong person. Calm down, calm down. Wang Haoren quickly said, things are not as bad as you think. You are actually innocent. What did you say? The furious Yin Charn's expression froze. Then she questioned, but at that time, I clearly felt that's because a kind of medicine was applied. When that medicine is applied to the skin, it will cause the skin to become red, swollen, and uncomfortable, Wang Haoren explained. Are you serious? A glimmer of hope appeared in Yun Charn's eyes. If you don't believe me, you can ask Bien Suen for a checkup, Wang Haoren replied. However, he felt that something was wrong and added, but Bien Suen wouldn't believe you. But I don't think you'll trust Bien Su. You should find a woman you trust to do a check. Yin Charn stared deeply at Wang Haoren for a while. She felt that he did not seem to be lying. She suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. However, she soon realized a problem. Who applied the medicine? Of course it was Bien Suen. She was also the one who faked the scene. I'm sure you can tell that I have a close relationship with her. Do you think she would watch me take advantage of you? Wang Haoren followed Yun Charn's train of thought and said reasonably. Yin Charn felt that it made sense. If she put herself in Bien Suen's shoes and thought about it, Bien Suen would never allow Wang Haoren to mess around. Yin Charn's gloomy mood for the past few days suddenly eased a lot. However, she was still a little unhappy. But you've used me anyway. I can't just let this go. Yin Charn stared at Wang Haoren unkindly. There are many people here. Don't mess around. Wang Haoren pointed at some of the male and female students around the grass field. If you listen to me, I won't mess around. Yun Charn threatened and said coldly, Take me to see Bien Suen. She came to Wang Haoren first because she felt that Wang Haoren was easy to bully. After threatening Wang Haoren, she could make Bien Suen hesitate. However, this was only Yun Charn's one-sided thought. No. Wang Haoren shook his head and refused. Bien Suen was kept in the dark about this matter. If Yun Charn told Bien Suen about it, the matter would be exposed. It's not up to you. Yin Charn was confident in her strength and did not take Wang Haoren seriously at all. After saying that, she wanted to seal Wang Haoren's acupoints and take him away to find Bien Suen. However, just as Bien Suen was about to reach out her hand, she was shocked to find that her body seemed to be bound by an invisible net of qi. She could not move at all. Yin Charn was shocked. Even his father did not possess such a powerful technique. One should know that her father was the suzerain of a first-class sect. His strength was enough to rank in the top 10 of the top experts in the hidden world. The person who restricted her must be stronger than her father. Yin Charn never thought that Wang Haoren would be protected by such a powerful expert. Panic rose in Yin Charn's heart. She subconsciously looked around, trying to search for a certain figure. However, she could not move her body. In her limited vision, she did not find anyone suspicious. Yin Charn thought that the person was at an angle that she could not see. She retracted her gaze and looked at Wang Haoren again. Let's forget about you scheming against me. You asked the top expert who is protecting you to let me go. Yin Charn could only compromise. Even her father was not a match for such an expert. Naturally, she did not have the confidence to fight back. Hearing Yin Charn's words, Wang Haoren was stunned for a moment. Then, he realized that she had misunderstood. Are you afraid now? It's a little late. Wang Haoren did not explain deliberately. Instead, He laughed evilly. What do you want? Yin Charen's face was pale. Wang Haoran did not reply immediately. After thinking for a few seconds, he suddenly asked, "What are your plans after returning to the sect? Do you want to find another force with a similar background as Fengxi Mountain and find someone to marry?" "Yes, this is my destiny," Yin Charen said with a dejected look on her face. Wang Haoran secretly clicked his tongue after hearing this. What kind of education did Yin Charen receive since she was young? What a pedantic way of thinking. After secretly complaining, Wang Haoran replied to Yin Charen's question. "Listen carefully. After you return, you're not allowed to marry. The senior who is protecting me, is very interested in you. If you don't want the sect to be destroyed, be obedient and marry the senior who is protecting me in the future." Chapter 448. Wang Haoran said these words after careful consideration. Yun Charen's current favorability was limited, so it was impossible to make her obedient. He wanted to focus on dealing with Qin Fan, so he did not want to spend time on Yin Charen. Wang Haoran was also unwilling to let Yin Charen return to the sect. If that was the case, Yin Charen would have no restrictions and would still marry into other powerful sections. Wang Haoran did not want to see these things happen, but he was not in the mood to woo her for the time being. He made this decision by taking advantage of Yin Charen's misunderstanding. The method he secretly used on Yin Charen was already far beyond that of a grandmaster. Only when one's true qi cultivation reached the level of 200 years could he use it. Yin Charen was born in a large sect. Although her strength was not great, she was definitely knowledgeable. Yin Charen would not dare to act recklessly because she was afraid of his strength, unless Yin Charen wanted the whole sect to be buried with him. However, from the perspective of Yin Charen, who was always thinking about the interests of the sect, this was obviously impossible. As long as he could keep Yin Charen under control, he would have time to deal with her after dealing with Qin Fan. When Yin Charen heard Wang Haoran's words, she was obviously stunned for a while. When she came back to her senses, she said with dissatisfaction, she said unhappily, "No, I don't agree." In her opinion, to be able to surpass her father's strength, the other party must be extremely old. He was at least 80 years old, and it was very possible that he was over 100 years old. Although Yin Charen cared about the interests of the sect, she was unwilling to marry an old man with a white beard. "Okay, I respect your choice." Wang Haoran smiled and said to the heir, "Senior, you can deal with it." After saying that, he secretly controlled his true qi. Yin Charen immediately felt that the fine, invisible net of qi binding her was shrinking bit by bit. She had no doubt that if this continued, she would definitely die on the spot. "We can still negotiate. Ask that senior to stop." Yin Charen panicked. "You are not in a position to bargain." Wang Haoran responded and added, "After you die, the people from your sect will come to accompany you soon." Yin Charen was terrified. This was because she understood that with the cultivation of the expert who had acted in the dark, it was not difficult for him to do this. I agree." Yin Charen did not want to die, nor did she want the sect to be buried with her, so she immediately changed her mind. "Is that all you've got?" Wang Haoran mocked. Yin Charen secretly gritted her teeth. She really wanted to say, "If it weren't for someone protecting you, I would definitely beat you up until you cried for your parents." But on the surface, in order to save some face, she said, "A good woman does not fight when the odds are against her." Wang Haoran could not help but smile at Yin Charen's flattering behavior. After Yin Charen regained her freedom, she turned around and scanned the surroundings, trying to find the figure of that top master. But as far as the eye could see, there were only male and female students. There were no old men at all. Yin Charen dismissed the idea of looking for him. If the other party did not want him to see them, it would be useless no matter how hard he tried to find them. She retracted her gaze and asked Wang Haoran, "Which super sex young master are you from in the reclusive Jianghu?" In her opinion, Wang Haoran was definitely not an ordinary person since he could be protected by such a top master. Only the young masters of super sex could receive such treatment. Wang Haoran looked at her strangely. "Why are you asking this? Could it be that you want to form a marriage alliance with my sect and then marry me? Don't think too much. Although I care about the interests of the sect, I still have a minimum requirement for my husband. At least, he can't be too weak to stand up to the wind like an ordinary man in the secular world. Although Yin Charan was afraid, she could not bear to see Wang Howren's complacent look, so she plucked up her courage and said, "Do I look weak?" Wang Howren frowned. "If you're not weak, why would you need someone to protect you?" Yin Charan raised the corner of her lips and asked in return. Wang Howren was stunned for a moment and then smiled. There was nothing wrong with Yin Charan's argument, because even if he had a little strength, he would not need a bodyguard. After all, how much danger could he encounter in the secular world? "You can go." Wang Howren was too lazy to explain. He waved his hand at Yin Charan as if he was driving her away. Seeing this, Yin Charan did not dare to stay any longer. With so many things happening in Qingling, she really needed to report back to the sect as soon as possible. At the same time, in Lu Yu's office in the finance building. "Professor Lu, it's been a few days. Can you arrange for me to teach the class?" Lin Mo stood in front of the desk and asked Lu Yu. After embarrassing himself on the field a few days ago, Lin Mo had been depressed for a while. Now that he had adjusted his mentality, he planned to regroup and fight for recognition points. Teaching was undoubtedly the best way to do so. "Okay, let me take a look at the class schedule." Lu Yu did not object. After all, this was what she had promised before. It was only delayed until now because of Wang Howren's interference. After looking at the class schedule, Lu Yu said to Lin Mo, "You can attend the second class of class 113 in the afternoon." Lin Mo nodded happily and turned to leave. After taking a few steps, he suddenly turned back. "Professor Lu, Wang Howren is from class 113. You haven't forgotten what happened last time, right?" "I remember." Lu Yu nodded. "However, it's just a small conflict between you two. He has already caused trouble before. I'm going to sit in on the class, so he shouldn't cause trouble." Lin Mo was worried. Lu Yu had also made a solemn vow last time, but she stood him up because she wanted to chat with her boyfriend. Just in case, Lin Mo said, "Professor Lu, I think you should talk to Wang Howren. Otherwise, I'll be on tenterhooks during this class." "Okay." Lu Yu nodded. After all, Lin Mo was a graduate student under her tutelage. He was hardworking and meticulous in his work. Lu Yu also wanted to give him a chance to teach and accumulate experience so that he could be promoted to a university lecturer. That way, she would be able to maintain her reputation. With that thought in mind, Lu Yu picked up her phone and made a call. "Come to my office," Lu Yu said over the phone in a dignified manner as she spoke to her students. After hanging up, Lu Yu said to Lin Mo, "You can leave now. Why don't you leave for a while? I want to talk to Wang Howren alone." Lin Mo wanted to listen to the process, but after hearing Lu Yu's words, he did not want to stay. "Then I'll take my leave." Lin Mo left the office. After a while, the door to the office was pushed open. Wang Howren walked in and sat down on the chair in front of Lu Yu as if there was no one around. "What's the matter?" Seeing this, Lu Yu frowned. "This is a university. You better be aware of the situation. I'm a professor. You're a student. Is your hand that precious? Don't you know how to knock before entering the office?" Chapter 449. "Sister Wu, we're so close. You don't have to do this, right?" Wang Howren teased when he saw Lu Yu putting on airs again. "I'll allow you to call me that outside, but please call me Professor Lu in school," Lu Yu said sternly. "All right, Professor Lu. Do you want me to knock on the door before coming in?" Wang Howren asked. "No need." Lu Yu waved her hand. She didn't want to waste time and went straight to the point. "I know you have some conflicts with Lin Mo, but you've already messed with him once. Don't mess with him in the future, okay?" "Professor Lu, are you trying to be the peacemaker?" Wang Howren smiled. "Be serious." Lu Yu snorted. "Lin Mo will be teaching in your class in the afternoon. If you really don't want to see him, I'll allow you to skip class. This is the greatest tolerance I can give you." "That doesn't sound right. We have an agreement that I can come and go freely in your class. Skipping class is my right." "You can't be forgiving me," Wang Howren retorted. "It sounds like you want to continue messing with Lin Mo's class. Is that right?" Lu Yu asked with a frown. "Congratulations, you're right." Wang Howren didn't hide it. He and Lin Mo were natural enemies. There was no way they could be reconciled. No one, not even Lu Yu. "I'm ordering you as Sister Wu, Professor Lu, and teacher's wife." You're not allowed to mess with my class. Do you hear me? Lu Yu warned him seriously. Wang Haoran dug his ears and didn't say anything. But the meaning was clear. He didn't hear her. Wang Haoran. Lu Yu scolded him coldly when she saw that her authority had been challenged. She called him by his full name and said, I've already protected you enough. You should at least give me a way out. Lin Mo is a postgraduate student under me. You embarrassed him in class last time, and I helped you get away with it. Don't go overboard. Don't let Lin Mo teach. That's all I want, Wang Haoran said bluntly. This is impossible. Lu Yu's tone clearly left no room for negotiation. If the graduate student under my tutelage can't even become a lecturer, then where can I put my face? Moreover, I have to be responsible for my graduate students. I can't ruin their future. This is a matter of principle. Even if you call Seventh Sister over, it won't change. Lu Yu's tone was unusually firm. If I call Master over, is there any room for discussion? Wang Haoran asked. No business. Lu Yu was so angry that she subconsciously wanted to reject him. However, she forcefully swallowed the last word that was on the tip of her tongue. You can call your master over? Lu Yu found it hard to believe. While chatting with her husband, she learned that her husband was very busy and couldn't leave at all. Lu Yu naturally harbored a skeptical attitude towards Wang Haoran's words. Of course I can. Wang Haoran nodded. Why should I believe you? Lu Yu still didn't trust him. She felt that Wang Haoran was most likely tricking her. Call him over, and you'll believe me, Wang Haoran said. According to his original plan, he didn't want to lay his cards on the table with Lu Yu so quickly. After all, he really couldn't split himself up. It was as if he was constantly rushing around, and dealing with things was tiring. If he showed up with Lu Yu, he would undoubtedly need more time to deal with Lu Yu. Wang Haoran didn't want to do that. However, Lu Yu had repeatedly put on airs as master's wife. This made Wang Haoran a little uncomfortable. Therefore, Wang Haoran wanted to lay his cards on the table and teach Lu Yu a lesson. Moreover, doing so would solve the problem of Lin Mo teaching. This Lin Mo was Lu Yu's graduate student and also her teaching assistant. Lu Yu could completely restrict him. As long as Lu Yu listened to him, then the matter of Lin Mo teaching would not be realized. Of course, if he wanted to lay his cards on the table, he would have to change to another environment and be fully prepared. Although Lu Yu's favorability toward him was 70, this was the favorability toward the peerless stock god. If Wang Haoran laid his cards on the table and his real identity overlapped with his fake identity, there was a possibility that Lu Yu's favorability toward him would drop. If it really dropped, not only would Wang Haoran not gain any benefits, but he would also make a fool of himself and cause trouble. After all, the situation around Wang Haoran was more complicated. If you can really call your master to me, everything can be discussed. The sternness on Lu Yu's face dissipated a little, and she became friendly. Although principles were important, her husband was more important. During this period of time, Lu Yu had suffered a lot of lovesickness. She often tossed and turned at night. She had wanted to run away for a long time, but her husband was not free. Now that there was such an opportunity, Lu Yu had to seize it. Moreover, if Wang Haoran could not do it, then she would not lose out. Anyway, before she met him, she would not go against her principles. No problem, but you know that my master is overseas. It will take some time for him to come back. Before that, you can't let Lin Mo teach, Wang Haoran requested. If you agree, I'll think of a way to call my master back. If you don't, then forget about it. If you lie to me, I'll teach you a lesson. Lu Yu's eyes shone with a thoughtful light. Soon, she came to a decision. Teach me a lesson? I'll teach you a lesson. Wang Haoran muttered to himself. He walked out of the office and began to think about the matter. When it was time for the afternoon class, Lin Mo rushed to Lu Yu's office excitedly. Professor Lu, you've talked to Wang Haoran, right? Can I teach in the afternoon in peace? Lin Mo asked expectantly. Let's talk about your class later, Lu Yu said seriously. What's wrong? You can't even handle a student, Professor Lu? Lin Mo was a little disappointed. Did Wang Haoran promise you something? Is that why you're so protective of him? In Lin Mo's opinion, as a professor, there was no reason for Professor Lu to give Wang Haoran face. Unless Lu Yu accepted a bribe? How dare you slander me? Lu Yu is guilty. She appeared to be very agitated and slammed the table hard. Lin Mo jumped in fright and hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, Professor Liu. It was a slip of the tongue. Just now." He had been impulsive, which was why he had spoken without thinking. Thinking about it carefully, he suddenly felt that it was not very possible. Liu Yu was a genius in finance. Why would she accept a bribe? Moreover, Liu Yu had always been upright and had good conduct. Her teachers and students all praised her for being a principled person. It was even more impossible for her to do such a thing. However, what was the reason for Liu Yu's attitude? "Professor Liu, how are you going to resolve this matter? Please tell me about it so that I can feel at ease," Lin Mo pleaded. "Everything will be clear when I meet Wang Haoren's parents," Liu Yu said ambiguously. Her words could calm Lin Mo down. It was not a lie. One had to admit that Liu Yu was very smart and quick-witted. When Lin Mo heard this, he immediately understood what was going on. It seemed that during the conversation between Liu Yu and Wang Haoren had used his status as a rich second-generation heir to cause a ruckus with Liu Yu. Since Liu Yu could not handle Wang Haoren, she planned to meet Wang Haoren's parents to resolve the matter. As long as she settled the matter with Wang Haoren's parents, Wang Haoren would not dare to act so presumptuously. "Thank you, Professor Liu." Lin Mo was very touched. Liu Yu was in a daze. She did not reply to Lin Mo. In her mind, she kept imagining the blissful scene with her husband. She could not wait to see or even touch her husband's 8-pack abs with her own eyes. Chapter 450. "Professor Liu, I'll take my leave first." Seeing Liu Yu in a daze, Lin Mo thought that she was thinking about how to negotiate with Wang Haoren's parents. Therefore, he did not dare to disturb her. After saying goodbye, he walked out of the office. He gently closed the door. When Liu Yu came back to her senses, she realized that Lin Mo had already left. "What am I thinking?" Liu Yu shook her head, trying to get rid of all the distracting thoughts in her mind. The infatuation in her heart quickly dissipated. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Liu Yu understood this principle, although Wang Haoren said that he would call his master over. But in the end, it was just an empty promise. Moreover, her husband was too busy with work. It was unlikely that he would take the time to come over. Although Wang Haoren was her disciple, could he be more important than her? If she could not call her husband over, what right did Wang Haoren have? Considering all these factors, Liu Yu was more suspicious of Wang Haoren's words. Liu Yu did not want to be fooled by Wang Haoren in the end. She was full of expectations. After calming herself down, Liu Yu threw herself into work. This was because she could only suppress the longing in her heart when she was working seriously. In the finance department's Class 113 classroom, Wang Haoren sat in his seat, deep in thought. His eyes were slightly lowered, as if they were out of focus. At this moment, something suddenly barged into his unfocused field of vision. Wang Haoren's eyes regained focus. When he focused, he saw two extremely exaggerated curves. He looked up and saw the baby-faced Mu Zhaozhao looking at him. "What are you thinking about?" Mu Zhaozhao sat down next to him and asked curiously. "I'm thinking, what did you eat growing up?" Wang Haoren was not an honest person. Of course, he would not answer whatever was asked. His gaze fell on Mu Zhaozhao, and he teased her. "You're so annoying." Mu Zhaozhao glared at him. "There's a school masquerade party the day after tomorrow. Will you be attending?" "Not interested." Wang Haoren shook his head subconsciously. His time was precious, and he didn't want to participate in such a boring social activity. But as soon as he said this, he suddenly realized something and asked, "Can I wear a mask and masquerade?" "Of course." "Why do you ask?" Mu Zhaozhao asked. "I'm interested again." Wang Haoren smiled. A plan to deal with Liu Yu was brewing in his mind. "What are you thinking about?" Mu Zhaozhao felt that his smile was unusual. "I'm thinking about what you'll be wearing and how you'll dress up." To prevent Mu Zhaozhao from thinking about his intentions, Wang Haoren changed the topic. When Mu Zhaozhao heard this, a joyful smile appeared on her cute doll-like face. She looked around and asked like a thief, "How do you want to see me dress up?" Her words were thought-provoking, and Wang Haoren naturally understood the real meaning behind it. After thinking for a while, he suddenly had a good idea. But on second thought, he was not the only one who could see her at the masquerade party, so he had to give up the idea. How do you want to dress up? Tell me, and I'll give you another suggestion. Wang Haoran shook off the strange idea and asked Mu Zhao Zhao. Little rabbit. Mu Zhao Zhao stretched out her white hand and put it above her head in the shape of a pair of scissors, showing an extremely cute expression. Okay, little rabbit it is. Wang Haoran felt that Mu Zhao Zhao's idea was good. The little rabbit was so cute, and so was Mu Zhao Zhao. It was a perfect match. At this moment, Wen Jing also came into the classroom and sat down next to Mu Zhao Zhao. She looked at Wang Haoran without blinking, but did not say anything. She just listened quietly to the conversation between the two. What about you? What do you know how to dress up as? Mu Zhao Zhao asked Wang Haoran. I'll dress up as a carrot, Wang Haoran said without hesitation. Carrot? Haha, little rabbit eats carrot. Ah, I'll eat you. Mu Zhao Zhao tried hard to open her mouth wide, biting the air, and showing a cute and fierce expression. Wang Haoran smiled, and his smile was somewhat meaningful. Wen Jing also covered her mouth and laughed secretly. Mu Zhao Zhao was stunned, and then her face turned red. She patted Wang Haoran's shoulder. You're so annoying, so annoying. Ring, ring, ring. The bell for class rang. The first lesson in the afternoon started. After the first lesson, Wang Haoran came to Lu Yu's office during the break. He did not knock again. However, Lu Yu did not say anything this time, because she was too lazy to say anything. Professor Lu, will you be going to the campus masquerade ball the day after tomorrow? Wang Haoran asked. No, Lu Yu was not interested. This masquerade ball was open to both teachers and students. It had been held a few times, but Lu Yu had never gone once. Are you sure you don't want to go? Wang Haoran asked again with a deeper meaning. Of course, he knew that it was not easy to get Lu Yu to go to the masquerade ball, so he could only give her a hint. After hearing that, Lu Yu was surprised, and she looked at Wang Haoran a few more times. Why do you suddenly want to ask me to go to the masquerade ball? Do you have any ulterior motives? No ulterior motives, absolutely no ulterior motives. I just feel that it will be fun, and I want to ask you to go with me. Wang Haoran deliberately emphasized. After hearing Wang Haoran's words, Lu Yu was even more suspicious. She could not help but think deeply. Wang Haoran had previously promised that he would be able to get her husband back. Of course, Lu Yu did not believe him. Let's assume that Wang Haoran's words were true, that her husband would come back. But why was Wang Haoran so sure? Could it be that Wang Haoran knew in advance that her husband would come back? But why did her husband not tell her? Wang Haoran had suddenly asked her to go to the masquerade ball for no reason. Could it be that her husband had asked Wang Haoran to do so, and the purpose was to give her a surprise? After thinking deeply, Lu Yu had a feeling that she was enlightened. The doubts that had been lingering in her mind were also solved. It was no wonder that Wang Haoran was so sure previously. This guy wanted to use the information that her husband had come back to trick her, so that he could deal with Lin Mo. Lu Yu's eyes were clear, and she felt that she had seen through everything. However, she did not intend to expose Wang Haoran. After all, her husband had to have a close relationship with Wang Haoran in order to create a surprise for her. In order to prevent Wang Haoran from causing trouble, Lu Yu had to maintain her relationship with Wang Haoran as the middleman. The masquerade ball, right? I'll definitely be there. Lu Yu pretended to be calm as she replied to Wang Haoran. Okay. Wang Haoran left the office and closed the door. Lu Yu, who was in the office, jumped up from her chair excitedly when she saw that there was no one around. Wang Haoran could not help but smile when he saw it with his X-ray vision. He was looking forward to seeing Lu Yu's reaction when she saw the surprise. Chapter 451. Not long after, the second class in the afternoon began. The teacher who taught Wang Haoran's class 113 in the finance department was Lu Yu. When the bell rang, the students in the class were still talking about the masquerade party the day after tomorrow. When Lu Yu walked into the classroom, most of the students had not yet taken their seats. The students had forgotten that this was Lu Yu's class. After seeing Lu Yu, they immediately returned to their seats in a panic. After the first lesson, Lu Yu had already shown her strength. She had warned the students to be quiet after the bell rang, not noisy. The current situation had already violated Lu Yu's words. However, to everyone's surprise, Lu Yu did not show any signs of anger on her face. Instead, she had a smile on her face. Lu Yu asked all the students to sit down, and the class began. Many students felt strange. In the classroom, only Wang Haoran knew the real reason. As the saying goes, people are in high spirits when faced with happy events. Lu Yu was just like that. Buzz. Wang Haoran suddenly felt his phone vibrate. He took out his phone and saw that it was a message from Yu Shiqing. Will you go to the masquerade party the day after tomorrow? Wang Haoran. Yes. Yu Shiqing. Then I will go too. What do you think I should dress up as? Give me a suggestion. Wang Haoran. How about a bunny? Yu Shiqing. You like bunnies? Okay, I will dress up as a bunny. What will you dress up as? Wang Haoran. Carrots. Yu Shiqing. Carrots? Wang Haoran. Bunnies eat carrots. Yu Shiqing. Carrots look too strange. It doesn't match your temperament at all. Seeing Yu Shiqing's message, Wang Haoran naturally understood that Yu Shiqing was too naive to understand at all. Unlike when Jing and Mu Zhaozhao. When Jing understood in a second, Mu Zhaozhao understood half a beat later. Wang Haoran. Just kidding. I don't know what to dress up as yet. Let's talk about it later. Yu Shiqing. Okay. After the afternoon class, Wang Haoran received a call from Qiu Qianwei inviting him to dinner. Wang Haoran immediately agreed and prepared to go to Lu Yu's villa. However, before they could walk far, they were intercepted by Qin Yunhan and Su Muyan. Wang Haoran had no choice but to have dinner with the two of them at a restaurant near the school. During dinner, Qin Yunhan and Su Muyan also talked about the masquerade party and asked Wang Haoran if he would go. After Wang Haoran replied, I'll go. The two of them wanted his opinion on what to wear for the masquerade party. Wang Haoran had already encountered similar problems twice. This time, Wang Haoran gave the same reply. When Qin Yunhan and Su Muyan heard the topic of rabbits and carrots, Qin Yunhan and Wen Jing immediately understood. Su Muyan was stunned for a while. After Qin Yunhan's reminder, she finally understood. Her face turned red. After dinner, Qin Yunhan proposed that she wanted to play a mobile game with Wang Haoran. Su Muyan proposed to play a mobile game with Wang Haoran. Although Wang Haoran had dinner, there was no limit to the location of the game. Therefore, he agreed to play a mobile game with the two of them. After the discussion, Wang Haoran went to Lu Yu's villa. At this time, night had already fallen. Wang Haoran arrived at Lu Yu's villa and rang the doorbell. It was Tantai Yaoyue who opened the door today. Hello, sister. Wang Haoran greeted her affectionately. Tantai Yaoyue felt strange. Because she saw Wang Haoran's expression, it was as if he had completely forgotten what had happened a few days ago. However, seeing Wang Haoran like this, the awkwardness in Tantai Yaoyue's heart lessened a lot. Come in, Tantai Yaoyue said, and walked into the villa's living room with Wang Haoran. In the living room, Lu Yu was sitting on a yoga mat. She was staring at the teaching on the television screen on the wall and practicing yoga. She looked very serious. Moreover, compared to the afternoon class, Lu Yu's hair had changed. The black ponytail that was originally tied up was now hanging down. Her hair was slightly curly and wavy. The original black had also become light brown. It was obvious that Lu Yu had gone to get her hair styled after class. At this moment, Lu Yu looked even more charming than she did in the afternoon. Judging from the changes in Lu Yu's behavior, it was clear that she placed a lot of importance on this matter. Wang Haoran was looking forward to Lu Yu's reaction when she saw the surprise. Sister 5, the new hairstyle is not bad. Wang Haoran teased. Of course. Do you know how much I spent on this hairstyle? Lu Yu replied while doing yoga. How much? Wang Haoran asked. 8. I'm not telling you. Lu Yu felt that the price was too high. She suddenly stopped halfway, because if she told Wang Haoran, it would inevitably reach her husband's ears. At that time, her husband might think that she was a spendthrift. Lu Yu did not want anything that would ruin her husband's impression of her to happen. Your yoga moves are not standard. Wang Haoran sat on the sofa. He looked at the television and then looked at Lu Yu. He could not help but comment. I'm a newbie. I've never practiced yoga before. It's already very good that I can do this, okay? Lu Yu said. Why did he suddenly start practicing yoga? What's the reason behind it? Wang Haoran was well aware of this, but he pretended not to understand. There's no other reason. I just suddenly felt like practicing, Lu Yu said vaguely. Is that really the only reason? Wang Haoran looked at her mischievously. Lu Yu changed her yoga pose and turned to look. Her gaze inadvertently met Wang Haoran's. Of course that's the only reason. What else could it be? Lu Yu said. She felt a little guilty. Be clear about your position. You're a junior, and I'm your senior. Juniors should not ask about their seniors. Okay? If you ask me any more questions, I'll knock your head. Then, she stretched out her hand and made a knocking motion. Wang Haoran saw this and did not say anything else. Lu Yu was feeling smug now. He would let her be. She would get it the day after tomorrow. You like to put on airs? Let's see if you can still put on airs then. After Tantai, Yaoyue welcomed Wang Haoran in. She went to the kitchen to help. Other than Lu Yu, everyone else was busy in the kitchen, fighting to be the first to show their virtuous side. Wang Haoran guessed that Qin Yunhan and Su Muyin had arrived at the dorm. So, he took out his phone and logged into his PUBG account. Qin Yunhan had just come online. When she saw that Wang Haoran had also come online, she immediately sent him a team invitation. Wang Haoran clicked accept. There were only 3 people in the team. They still needed one more. Qin Yunhan was afraid that Wang Haoran would run away, so she started the match. Soon, they were matched. One of the empty spots was filled by a passerby. Seeing this passerby's ID, Wang Haoran was stunned. It was Little Rookie, Xiaoye's account, who had the game streaming system. Is Jiang Gaoxian slacking off? Wang Haoran muttered to himself. Soon, the game entered the parachuting scene. Little Rookie, Wang Haoran, and Qin Yunhan's team all jumped to the same area. But after landing, Little Rookie did not move at all. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing the main character Xiao Yi to be electrocuted. Received 1,300 villain points. Xiao Ye's main character Aura minus 65. Host villain Aura plus 65. Ding! Xiao Ye's electrocution was too strong, causing damage to his brain nerves. His intelligence has greatly decreased, and he has lost his main character status. Oh. Chapter 452. Wang Haoran was controlling the game character to search the house when he suddenly received 2 system notifications. He could not help but be stunned. Jiang Gaoxian was not slacking off, but he was making a big move. Xiao Yezwell had finally come to an end. A moment later, buzz. His phone suddenly vibrated. Wang Haoran looked at the caller ID and then returned to the guest room he had stayed in before to answer the call. Lu Yu was the only one in the hall. Lu Yu was focused on practicing yoga and did not notice Wang Haoran's movements. My lord, we've gone too far. Xiao Yi seems to have become retarded. What should we do now? Jiang Gaoxian reported over the phone. Let him be. Don't worry about him. I have another task for you now. During the time when Jiang Gaoxian was monitoring and disrupting Xiao Ye's live stream, Xiao Ye provided a lot of villain points and halo points. Wang Haoran was already satisfied. If Jiang Gaoxian did not make this call, Wang Haoran would have contacted him and asked him to do something. Is this mission long? Although Jiang Gaoxian did not dare to disobey, he still wanted to ask about the situation. It's not long. I'll be done in a while, Wang Haoran said. Please give me your orders, Jiang Gaoxian quickly said. You've been living in seclusion for a long time. Have you done anything like robbery? Wang Haoran did not immediately give orders. Instead, he asked Jiang Gaoxian to be on the safe side. The robbery was when I met you. I've never done it before. However, I'm quite experienced in robbing women, Jiang Gaoxian said. Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes. Damn, he's really a villain. It seems like he's done a lot of bad things. However, Jiang Gaoxian no longer had the ability to be a man, so he would not do such a thing. To a certain extent, is this considered a good thing? Wang Haoran thought to himself. Then, he ordered Jiang Gaoxian to get down to business. The night after tomorrow, Jiang Gaoxian listened carefully and remembered Wang Haoran's words. After a while, Wang Haoran hung up the phone and called Lu Hua and his brothers. Lu Hua, Lu Ming, and Wei Zhihong went to Qingling University to spread rumors. The general content of the rumor was that there was an illegal gang operating near Qingling University. They were targeting beautiful women who walked at night. After the call, Wang Haoran returned to the living room. Wang Haoran's character in the game had already turned into a crate during this period of time. Qin Yunhan instantly logged out of the game and regrouped with Wang Haoran. With no one interrupting them, Wang Haoran had too much room to play. He successfully led Qin Yunhan to eat chicken dinner. After greeting Qin Yunhan, Wang Haoran closed the PUBG game and opened King of Glory. He sent a message to Su Muyin, asking her to pull him over after the game. However, Su Muyin could not wait any longer. She immediately logged out and teamed up with Wang Haoran. After a happy game, it was almost time for Wang Haoran to start eating. In fact, Wang Haoran had already eaten dinner. However, Qiu Qianwei's kindness was not something he could disappoint. He ate another meal. During the meal, he deliberately drank a lot of red wine. After the meal, Wang Haoran stood up and walked unsteadily, ready to go back. Qiu Qianwei was not at ease. She asked Wang Haoran to stay. Wang Haoran naturally agreed and entered the guest room. It was still early. Wang Haoran, Qin Yunhan, and Su Muyin started to play their own games. Unknowingly, it was the dead of the night again. Insomnia. After Wang Haoran saw Qiu Qianwei's message, he felt as if the plot was repeating itself. However, Tantai Yaoyue had already suffered in silence once. It was impossible for her to suffer in silence again, unless they decided to be in a relationship. However, this would undoubtedly be found out by Qin Fan, which would lead to Qin Fan's hostility. Wang Haoran was helpless. He could only extinguish the thought in his heart. There was still a long way to go. He was not in a hurry. Moreover, he had tasted something new. Although he was still hungry, it was not that unbearable. Wang Haoran looked at the message on his phone again and walked out of the guest room. In the hall, he met Bien Suen, who had woken up in the middle of the night. Bien Suen looked at him suspiciously, because the direction he was walking in did not seem to be towards the restroom. You drank a lot of wine during dinner. Are you feeling better now? My head is still a bit dizzy. Wang Haoran's mind was very clear. However, he still held his forehead and said in disappointment, "You should know my medical skills. Let me give you a massage to soothe it." Bien Suen said, "Thank you, third sister." Wang Haoran said politely and sat on a chair in the hall. Bien Suen walked over and pressed Wang Haoran's head. After a while, she asked, "How are you?" "Much better. Thank you, third sister. It's good that you're fine. Do you feel any discomfort?" "No." Bien Suen nodded and was about to return to her room. However, before she left, she suddenly whispered in Wang Haoran's ear, "Come over when you're done." After saying that, Bien Suen left the hall and walked into room number 2. Wang Haoran was surprised. The fairy doctor's observation skills were really not ordinary. She actually saw through it. Shouldn't Bien Suen be in room number 3? After being surprised, Wang Haoran suddenly realized a problem. He used his X-ray vision to observe. There was no one in room number 3. Wang Haoran's expression suddenly became strange. The next morning, everyone had arrived and was having breakfast in the dining hall. Luo Qingxian, Bien Suen, and Qiu Qianwei looked radiant. Although they did not put on makeup, they still looked beautiful. After Wang Haoran finished his breakfast, he went to school as usual. However, after leaving the villa, Wang Haoran could not help but sigh. Fortunately, his current true energy cultivation had already reached the level of 200 years, and all aspects of his body's quality had increased exponentially. Otherwise, it would definitely be unbearable. Time passed quickly. Soon, it was the day of the school masquerade ball. When the afternoon classes ended, some students could already be seen in the school. They were wearing the clothes that they had prepared for the masquerade ball. The masquerade ball was held in the gymnasium of Qingling University. When night fell, the gymnasium was filled with people. It was a grand occasion. All of them were wearing strange clothes. Some of them wore masks, while others showed their faces directly. However, those who wore masks were mostly not good-looking. The handsome guys and the pretty girls showed their faces directly. Those who were familiar with each other gathered in 2s and 3s. They were chatting. Among the guys, they were mostly talking about which girl was the prettiest. Among the girls, they were mostly talking about how handsome some guy was. Qin Yunhan, Su Muyin, Mu Zhaozhao, and Yu Shiqing, the 4 campus belles, received the most attention. Chapter 453. Zhao Zhao, why are you also wearing a bunny costume? Qin Yunhan asked curiously. Sister Yunhan, isn't it because we have a telepathic connection? So I'm wearing the same costume as you. Mu Zhao Zhao, of course, refused to tell the truth and said cutely. Wen Jing knew the truth, but she was now in the same class as Mu Zhao Zhao. The two had a good relationship, so naturally, she wouldn't betray Mu Zhao Zhao, and she wouldn't cause trouble for Wang Haoran. Sister Yunhan, why are you also dressed like this? Mu Zhao Zhao looked at Su Mu Yin next to her and asked suspiciously. Qin Yunhan and Su Mu Yin didn't like each other, but now they were wearing the same costume. Mu Zhao Zhao certainly found it strange. Buy two at a discount. To save money. Qin Yunhan explained. Sister Yunhan, as a rich girl, you also know how to save money? I don't believe it. Mu Zhao Zhao rolled her eyes at her. Although her nutrition was absorbed by other parts of her body, she was not brainless. This matter was definitely not as simple as Qin Yunhan said. It seemed that there was a story. Thinking of this, Mu Zhao Zhao looked at Qin Yunhan and Su Mu Yin deeply. Qin Yunhan and Su Mu Yin were a little guilty and didn't know how to respond. At this time, they saw Yu Shiqing coming over. Why are you also dressed like this? Qin Yunhan and Su Mu Yin asked Yu Shiqing at the same time. After Yu Shiqing and Qin Yunhan met, she gradually joined Qin Yunhan's small group and played with them. After arriving at the gymnasium, she saw Qin Yunhan and the others gathered together, so she walked over directly. I bought it casually. I didn't mean to wear the same costume as you. Yu Shiqing was also stunned when she saw Qin Yunhan and the others wearing the same costume as her. However, she remembered Wang Haoran's warning that she couldn't reveal her relationship with him, lest she attract the hostility of other girls, so she made up a lie. The five stood together and looked at each other. They were all a little surprised. Around them, many eyes were looking at them. The five of them were all dressed in bunny costumes with rabbit ears on their heads, looking very cute. Among them, Yu Shiqing, who was outstanding in appearance, temperament, and figure, got the most attention. Although she was a beauty, she was still a little bit inferior to the four's beauty, so she got the least attention. What's going on? Why are the four campus beauties of the first year all wearing bunny outfits? Didn't you see them chatting together? They must know each other. Of course, they had discussed it beforehand. That Yu Shiqing is so beautiful. She's a perfect goddess. Mu Zhao Zhao is the cutest in a bunny costume. Many male students around were talking about Qin Yunhan and the others enthusiastically. Wow, Wang Haoran is here. Suddenly, the discussion of the boys was drowned out by the screams of the girls. Many people looked in the direction of the gymnasium entrance and saw the freshman's beauty, Wang Haoran. They saw that Wang Haoran was in his usual outfit, but he was wearing a gray hat with a cartoon wolf on his head. It looked like a perfunctory masquerade party. However, this didn't affect the attention of the fangirls at all. After Wang Haoran walked into the gymnasium, he glanced around and easily found Qin Yunhan and the others. After all, these girls were too eye-catching, and they were all wearing bunny costumes. When Wang Haoran saw them, he suddenly regretted his suggestion. He hoped that it wouldn't be exposed. Wang Haoran secretly prayed. Then he walked closer to Qin Yunhan and the others and stopped about 6 or 7 meters away. He smiled in the direction of Qin Yunhan and the others. Qin Yunhan and the others all thought that Wang Haoran was smiling at them, so they all smiled back. After seeing their reactions, Wang Haoran naturally understood that the situation was very stable. After greeting them from afar, Wang Haoran withdrew his gaze and didn't want to talk to them, because he was afraid that he would accidentally say something wrong, causing the originally stable situation to suddenly collapse. While he was thinking, Lu Yu walked straight to him. Wang Haoran looked at her. He saw that Lu Yu was wearing a noble and elegant black evening dress with exquisite makeup. Her wavy hair hung down naturally, and she was wearing high heels. She looked charming. She was very different from usual in class. What outfit are you wearing? Lu Yu walked up to Wang Haoran and glanced at the hat on his head. She couldn't help but feel a little strange. It's a big bad wolf. Can't you tell? Wang Haoran pointed at his hat. Why are you dressed as a big bad wolf? Lu Yu was curious. Then she inadvertently glanced at Qin Yunhan and the others. "Oh, don't tell me you want to eat those little white rabbits." "You guessed that?" Wang Haoran was surprised. "I'll stop joking with you. Where are they?" Luyu didn't think about it at all. She didn't have a mood to think about it, because she was very nervous now. "Who are they?" Wang Haoran seemed to be confused. "Stop pretending. You asked me to come to the masquerade party. Wasn't it arranged by your master?" Luyu asked. "Professor Liu, you're really smart." Wang Haoran pretended to be exposed and praised her. Of course, Luyu was proud for a moment. Then she quickly recovered her nervousness and asked again, "Where are they?" "Let's wait. They should be here soon." Wang Haoran pretended to look at the time and replied. After a while, the masquerade party began, but there were very few people who actually went to dance. However, this didn't affect anything at all. The purpose of the masquerade party was to provide a place for communication. In the various departments of the university, there was a serious imbalance between men and women. Based on the principle of people-oriented, this was to provide a platform for interaction. But those who could really succeed were very few. In fact, the people who really came to the masquerade party were mostly here to eat and watch the fun, because the food provided at the masquerade party was simply too rich, and it was funded by the university. The students didn't have to spend any money. "I'm going to the washroom," Wang Haoran suddenly said to Luyu. "Go." Luyu nodded absent-mindedly. Her eyes kept looking around, trying to find a suspicious figure. During this time, some male teachers came to invite Luyu to dance with them. Of course, Luyu refused all of them. She continued to look around. But after looking for a long time, Luyu's neck was sore from twisting, but she still couldn't find a suspicious person. Luyu waited impatiently. "Beautiful lady, may I have the honor to invite you for a dance?" Behind her, there was another invitation. But this time, Luyu was stunned, because she was too familiar with this masculine voice. The two of them had talked on the phone many times. Luyu was no stranger to her husband's unique voice and tone. Luyu's heart was beating wildly. She used her trembling hand to tuck a few strands of wavy hair behind her ear. Then, she nervously turned around slowly and looked at the person behind her. A tall figure entered Luyu's watery eyes. Chapter 454. The man was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. His figure was tall and almost perfect, and he wore a Vacheron Constantine watch on his wrist. Judging from the price of his outfit, it was definitely more than 1,000,000 yuan. As for this man, he was indeed suited for this outfit. He exuded an air of nobility from head to toe. It was obvious that he was not an ordinary person. However, the only regrettable thing was that the man was wearing a mask that covered his face. No one could see what he looked like. Even so, the man still attracted a lot of attention. Even without looking at his face, the man's figure and temperament were enough to capture the hearts of many girls. Luyu sized him up. Her cheeks were flushed, and her heart was beating fast. The person she had been thinking about day and night was right in front of her. How could she not be excited? Is that you?" Luyu was afraid that she would mistake him for someone else in a moment of excitement. Hence, she asked softly in disbelief, "Can't you recognize the voice of hubby?" The man's charming voice sounded again. Hearing the voice and tone, Luyu was completely sure that this was the person she had been thinking about. Am I dreaming? Luyu stared at him through the mask. She was still in disbelief. After hearing Luyu's words, the man reached his hand forward and gently grabbed her hand. He placed it on his chest. Luyu trembled for a moment. She could clearly feel a warmth. Her dazed eyes gradually became more focused. At this moment, Luyu was completely sure that the person she had been thinking about for so long had crossed mountains and rivers and come to her side from the other side of the ocean. The excitement in Luyu's heart could not be described with words. She had prepared a lot of words to say to him, but she did not know where to start at that moment. As a professor, she was naturally very talkative and had an excellent mental fortitude. However, at this moment, she felt that her mouth was extremely clumsy. She did not even know how to speak. Fortunately, he suddenly spoke. "Beautiful lady, you haven't replied to my previous invitation." "My pleasure," Luyu quickly responded. She revealed a seductive and charming smile that she had secretly practiced in front of the mirror for the past 2 days. When Wang Haoran saw this, he could not help but curse in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that his avatar was online, he would never have been able to see Lu Yu's smile. He held Lu Yu's hand and walked straight to the dance floor. There were about 10 pairs of men and women dancing to the music on the dance floor. When I was a student, I practiced with a classmate for a while in order to participate in the school's social dance competition. But I haven't danced in a long time. If I don't dance well, don't laugh at me. Lu Yu felt that she had forgotten many of her steps, afraid that she would embarrass herself. Therefore, when she came to the dance floor and held hands with Wang Haoran and prepared to dance together, she hurriedly said something. "I'm here." Wang Haoran comforted him. As a rich second-generation heir, he had signed up for all kinds of classes since he was young and knew all kinds of basic social skills. Ballroom dancing was one of them. Although his level was not particularly high, it was definitely enough to deal with social situations. "I'm so envious of the guy who's dancing with you." After a few steps, Wang Haoran was able to dance with ease and ease. He leaned close to Lu Yu's ear and whispered something. "It's a girl. You're the first person of the opposite sex to dance with me, and you'll be the only one." Lu Yu whispered into his ear and smiled. "Really?" Wang Haoran was surprised. "To tell you the truth, I used to dislike men. I even thought that there was something wrong with me. But now I know that I'm normal." Lu Yu's tone was sincere and did not sound like she was faking it. When Wang Haoran heard that, he naturally did not doubt it. As the female lead of the 7 goddesses, Lu Yu's purity was the most basic setting. It was normal that she had never had close contact with the opposite sex. "So I'm the first man to dance with you. That's my honor." Wang Haoran replied Lu Yu. "Then I'm the first woman to dance with you?" Lu Yu's heart skipped a beat as she asked expectantly. "You're the first woman of the opposite sex to make my heart beat." Wang Haoran used an extremely masculine voice to whisper into her ear. In Lu Yu's mind, he worked in finance overseas and had to deal with various social situations. If Lu Yu was the first woman to dance with him, how could Lu Yu believe it? Wang Haoran stood on the foundation of his sock puppet character and said this sentence. Although this answer did not match Lu Yu's expectations, it did not affect anything at all. Because as soon as he said this, Wang Haoran immediately received a notification from the system. Ding! The host has touched the heart of the female lead, Lu Yu. Received 800 villain points. "I want to see your face." Lu Yu stared at Wang Haoran's eyes under the mask and said softly, "If it was convenient for me to show my face in public, I wouldn't be wearing a mask." Wang Haoran explained calmly. This was true. It was indeed inconvenient for him to show his face. After all, the 5 bunnies were not far away. If they saw his face, his backyard would definitely be on fire. "I didn't think it through," Lu Yu said apologetically. She only thought that her husband must be very famous overseas and was a public figure. That was why she acted this way. After coming to this conclusion, she became more and more curious about the identity of her husband. As one of the 3 female professors of Qingling University, Lu Yu was very popular. She was no less popular than Qin Yunhan and the other campus belles. Lu Yu showed her face and danced with a man wearing a mask, which attracted a lot of attention. Among them, some people paid attention to Lu Yu, while others paid attention to the man wearing the mask. In the distance, don't you think that the man in the suit looks a little familiar? Qin Yunhan sneaks up to Su Mayan's ear and points to a man in a suit and leather shoes, wearing a mask. "Why don't you just say that he looks like him?" Su Muyin replied softly. "You noticed it a long time ago." Qin Yunhan was surprised. "It just looks like him. It's not him," Su Muyin said. Qin Yunhan nodded and looked around, searching for the man wearing the big bad wolf hat. However, she did not find him. "Hey, where did he go? I want to know too," Su Muyin said. While the two were whispering, Mu Zhaozhao and Wen Jing were also whispering to each other. Jing, don't you think that the man in the mask looks like Wang Haoran?" Mu Zhaozhao asked. "It doesn't look like him at all," Wen Jing said firmly. As the most obedient and the least troublesome one, even if she thought it looked like him, she would not say it out loud. Yu Shiqing also noticed the man dancing with Lu Yu. She also thought that the man looked like Wang Haoran. However, she did not have a partner to whisper to, so she could only think about it in her heart. But after looking for a while, she felt that it was just a resemblance. She did not think that the man was Wong Howren at all. After all, Wong Howren had just appeared with the big bad wolf hat. How could the man in the suit be Wong Howren? Besides, Lu Yu was a professor in the Department of Finance. Her status was there. It was said that her assets were more than 10 billion. How could she be related to Wong Howren? Chapter 455. Not long after, the dance was over. "I'm sorry, does your foot hurt?" Lu Yu asked apologetically. In the short span of 5 minutes, Lu Yu's footsteps were erratic due to her nervousness. She stepped on Wong Howren's foot several times. "It doesn't hurt, but if you jump down again, it'll be hard to say." Wong Howren teased her and suggested, "Let's go outside and get some fresh air." There were too many people in the gymnasium, and the 5 bunnies were also here. Wong Howren could not possibly lay his cards on the table with Lu Yu here. Naturally, they had to go to a quiet place. Moreover, it was only convenient to carry out the plan outside. Otherwise, if he laid his cards on the table directly, he would not be able to get anything out of it. "Why are we going outside?" Lu Yu was stunned. "Don't you want to see what I look like?" Wong Howren asked. "Of course." Lu Yu nodded immediately. "Then let's go outside." Seeing that Lu Yu agreed, Wong Howren held her hand and walked out of the gymnasium. They walked slowly along the path of the campus. Not long after, under Wong Howren's intentional guidance, they arrived at the slightly dim maple path in the campus. As far as the eye could see, there was no other figure other than Wong Howren and Lu Yu. It was very quiet here, but when Lu Yu saw it, she could not help but feel a little worried. "I heard from someone today that there's an outlaw near Qingling University who specifically targets women walking at night. It's very quiet here. Let's go somewhere else." "What are you afraid of? You're not alone. I'm with you." Wong Howren comforted her. "That's true, but just in case," Lu Yu said. "If we really encounter any danger, even if I die, I won't let any harm come to you." Wong Howren looked into Lu Yu's eyes and said affectionately, "Ding. The host has touched the heart of the female lead, Lu Yu. Received 800 villain points." "Don't say that." Lu Yu's heart leaped with joy, but when she came back to her senses, she felt that these words were inauspicious and hurriedly said. Wong Howren chuckled. He held Lu Yu's hand and continued walking towards Maple Avenue. "You're a highly educated person. Why are you so superstitious? It'll be fine." Although Lu Yu was still a little worried, she was looking forward to seeing her husband, so she didn't care. The two of them continued to walk along the red maple path for a while. "Can I see what you look like now?" Lu Yu suddenly stopped and asked impatiently. After saying that, she reached out to take off the mask on his face. However, Wong Howren caught her hand in time. "What's wrong?" Lu Yu was puzzled. This place was quiet enough that no one would see them. She didn't understand why her husband wouldn't let her see his face. Wong Howren had just checked with his X-ray vision and saw that the actors were not in position yet. How could he let Lu Yu reveal the answer? "If I don't look as good as you imagined, will you be disappointed?" Wong Howren wanted to stall for time. Lu Yu was stunned. She seemed to feel something. Previously, Wong Howren had said that her husband was very, very handsome. Now, it seemed that Wong Howren might have been bragging. In reality, her husband didn't look as good as Wong Howren had described. "It's okay. Even if you're not handsome, ordinary, or even ugly, I still like you," Lu Yu said seriously. "Are you serious?" Wong Howren asked. "Of course it's true." Lu Yu nodded solemnly. Her husband had too many good points. There were so many that she had forgotten about his looks. After all, how could a person be perfect? Wong Howren let go of Lu Yu's hand. Lu Yu regained her freedom and reached her fair hand toward Wong Howren's mask. However, before Lu Yu could take off the mask, a masked man suddenly jumped out from the darkness beside Red Maple Road. The man was holding a small knife in his hand. Under the light of the street lamp, the knife shone with a cold light. Lu Yu was shocked. Her hand that was reaching for Wong Howren's mask also froze. Qingling University is indeed a good place. I met such a beautiful girl again. The masked man smiled sinisterly and said to Wong Howren, "This is none of your business. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Go." Wong Howren looked warily at the masked man. He reached out and pushed Lu Yu, hinting to her, "Hurry up and leave. I'll stop him." Lu Yu's face was pale. She felt extremely unlucky. The man with the knife in front of her must be the rumored criminal. She regretted not persuading her husband earlier. If she hadn't taken Red Maple Road, she wouldn't have encountered such a situation. However, the situation in front of her didn't allow her to think too much. Lu Yu quickly took off her high heels and prepared to run away. Although she was worried about her husband's safety, she also understood that she couldn't provide any help if she stayed here. Instead, her husband would be worried about her. Listening to her husband, she should leave quickly and call for help. Moreover, her husband worked out frequently. He must be good at fighting. The masked man saw this and immediately rushed forward. Wang Haoren met him and wrestled with him. It looked like they were evenly matched. Although there was a high chance that a hero saving a beauty would win him a favorable impression, Wang Haoren didn't like him. In comparison, Wang Haoren felt that the trick of injuring himself to gain her sympathy was more effective. After wrestling for less than 2 seconds, Wang Haoren suddenly clutched his abdomen and fell to the ground. Lu Yu didn't even have time to run. The masked man, Jiang Gaoxian, saw that his mission was completed. He pretended to stumble and hurriedly ran away. Soon he was out of sight. Lu Yu trembled and squatted down beside her husband. She saw her husband clutching his abdomen with his hand. There was a shiny knife in between his fingers. There were bloodstains on his clothes. These images reflected in Lu Yu's eyes made Lu Yu feel like the sky was falling. Lu Yu took out her phone with trembling hands and was about to call the emergency number. However, Wang Haoren grabbed her hand. I might not survive. There's something. I lied to you." Wang Haoren's face was pale, and he looked like he was dying. "You'll be fine. You'll be fine." Lu Yu insisted on calling the emergency number. However, Wang Haoren grabbed her hand tightly. Listen to me. Otherwise I'm afraid I won't have a chance to say it." "What did you lie to me about?" Lu Yu couldn't argue with him. Take off my mask. You'll understand." Wang Haoren spoke weakly. Hearing this, Lu Yu reached out to take off the mask. A familiar handsome face was reflected in Lu Yu's eyes. Lu Yu was stunned. Chapter 456. When Lu Yu saw his handsome face, she finally understood the meaning behind the words hubby had said earlier. The husband she had been longing for was not on the other side of the ocean, but right beside her. It could even be said that he had always been within reach. Lu Yu's heart was instantly filled with anger for being deceived. However, this feeling of annoyance was quickly overshadowed by worry. "I know I've let you down, but I couldn't help myself," Wang Haoren said in a tone as if he was saying his last words. "However, I've received my retribution now. Will you forgive me? I don't blame you. I don't blame you." Lu Yu looked at his dying face. How could she continue to blame him? Moreover, when they were in danger just now, this guy risked his life to protect her. No matter how big of a mistake he had made, it was enough to make up for it. "Are you serious? You really don't blame me?" Wang Haoren's face was less pale, and there was more color in it. "Really, I don't blame you," Lu Yu said anxiously. "Don't say anything. I'll call the emergency number right away. You'll be fine." She broke free from Wang Haoren's grip and wanted to make the call. "I might not be able to live. Can you give me some final thoughts? This way, even if I die, I can die without regrets," Wang Haoren said. Lu Yu was stunned for a moment. She did not understand. Wang Haoren let go of her hand and held her face, letting her slowly lean towards him. Lu Yu understood and could not help but close her eyes. It was extremely jerky. However, under the guidance, she quickly got into the rhythm. Lu Yu could not help but be immersed in her emotions. However, she soon realized that something was wrong. He was also using his mouth, but he was dying when he spoke. Why was he so energetic when he was doing other things? Lu Yu straightened up and looked at him again. She saw that the knife in his abdomen had fallen to the ground without his hand holding it. Although there was blood on his abdomen, his clothes were only slightly damaged. Looking through the hole in his clothes, she could see a metal belt buckle. Obviously, the knife had stabbed into the metal belt buckle. The blood was probably from the masked man. This guy didn't get stabbed. I thought I'd been stabbed, but I slowly realized later that it had pierced my belt buckle. It seems that I'm not fated to die yet. Wang Haoran looked as if he had just been given a new lease on life, and immediately explained. Lu Yu suddenly understood. He only felt that Wang Haoran's luck was too good. If this saber had been just a little bit off, then something big would have happened. It's good that you're fine. Don't curse yourself so casually in the future. Lu Yu rejoiced. Ding! The host has successfully tricked the female lead. Lu Yu. Favorability is maintained at 70, unchanging feelings. Wang Haoran was secretly delighted when he received the system notification. Lu Yu's impression of him was originally only 40. As for the identity of the peerless god of stocks, it was only 70. However, now that his identity had been exposed and he had put on a show, Lu Yu's favorable impression of him had shifted to Wang Haoran. You were fine just now? Why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you have to make me worry? After Lu Yu let go of the worry in her heart, she couldn't help but start calculating. Then, she used her fist to punch him a few times. Ouch! Wang Haoran cried out in pain, and his face scrunched up. I didn't use any strength at all. How are you? Lu Yu asked with concern. Although I wasn't stabbed, I was hit by that person. My chest hurts a little. Wang Haoran deliberately acted pitiful. Then let's go to the hospital. Lu Yu suggested. There's no need to go to the hospital. Let's see third sister later. All right. Lu Yu nodded. Wang Haoran stood up, took off his dirty suit jacket, and pointed at Red Maple Road in front. I'll continue to take a walk. Take a walk? What if you meet that masked person again? Lu Yu was a little worried. That won't happen. Don't you see the blood on this jacket? This is that guy. He's injured. How could he come back? As Wang Haoran said this, he pretended to call the police for a record. Seeing this, Lu Yu didn't continue to object. The two of them continued to walk down the unfinished Maple Avenue. Lu Yu returned to the villa after 10 in the evening. Fifth sister, why are you back so late today? Qiu Qianwei was sitting on the sofa in the living room, looking at a recipe book. When she saw Lu Yu come in, she asked curiously, Isn't the school holding a masquerade party? I want to play for a while. Lu Yu is secretly guilty, but she still looked calm on the surface. You've never participated in such social events in the past. Qiu Qianwei was suspicious for a moment. Then she guessed something. Have you guys already appeared? In the past 2 days, Lu Yu had deliberately done a new hairstyle and practiced yoga. Qiu Qianwei and the other sisters asked curiously. At that time, Lu Yu vaguely said that her online boyfriend was coming back from abroad. When Qiu Qianwei saw Lu Yu's strange behavior, she couldn't help but be suspicious. Haha, seventh sister, you're so smart. I really can't hide anything from you. Lu Yu smiled embarrassedly. How's the situation? Qiu Qianwei put down the recipe book in her hand and immediately started gossiping. It's quite smooth. Lu Yu smiled, but her smile was a little strange. Congratulations, fifth sister. Qiu Qianwei was happy for Lu Yu. Did you take a picture of him? Let me see. Lu Yu's heart skipped a beat. When they were walking just now, she took a picture of them. But how could she show it to seventh sister? No. Lu Yu shook her head. Then remember to take a picture next time. Qiu Qianwei looked very curious. Okay. Lu Yu gave a perfunctory reply. Tantai Yaiwa passed by the living room and heard the two's conversation. Fifth sister, ask your boyfriend to come out tomorrow. I'll go with you to take a look. Tantai Yaiwa had the mentality of an elder sister and wanted to consult for Lu Yu. He's going to take the early flight back to China tomorrow morning. Lu Yu lied. Is that so? Then when he comes back next time, remember to bring me along when you see him. Tantai Yaiwa could only say so. Okay. Lu Yu nodded solemnly. Even if you two are together, you're still in a foreign land. It's very worrying that you're separated so much. Qiu Qianwei felt a little sorry for fifth sister. She couldn't bear not seeing her boyfriend for a day. For a long-distance relationship like Lu Yu, one could imagine how uncomfortable it was. It can't be helped. He's busy with work. But I'm on holiday, so I can fly overseas to see him. It's fine. Lu Yu didn't feel worried because she couldn't see him. After all, other than holidays, she spent all her time in the finance department. Wasn't it easy to meet him? She could just use her official position for personal gain and call him to the office. Lu Yu's only worry was how to get along with seventh sister in the future. Chapter 457. In the afternoon, Lin Mo arrived at Lu Yu's office expectantly. Just as he was about to knock on the door, someone walked out of the office. Lin Mo gritted his teeth when he saw the person. "Hello, Assistant Professor Lin." Wang Haoran smiled at him and closed the door. "Hello, Mr. Wang." Lin Mo did not dare to confront Wang Haoran directly, so he pretended to greet him. "What brings you here, Assistant Professor Lin?" Wang Haoran asked. Lin Mo felt strange when he heard this, but he still waved the folder in his hand and replied, "I'm here to deliver some information to Professor Lu." "What kind of information?" Wang Haoran asked again. "Of course, it's information for your class," Lin Mo replied. However, he could not help but feel strange. This rich kid obviously did not like him, so why was he chatting with him for so long? "Oh," Wang Haoran replied. He turned to look at the office door and used his X-ray vision to take a look. She had already tidied up her clothes. He lost interest in chatting with Lin Mo and walked away leisurely. Lin Mo looked at Wang Haoran's back and was puzzled. "Knock, knock." "Professor Lu, it's me." Lin Mo knocked on the door and said, "Come in, master." "Come in." Lu Yu's voice came from the office. Lin Mo pushed the door open and entered. He placed the documents on Lu Yu's desk and looked up at her. "Professor Lu, why is your face so red?" Lin Mo asked in surprise. "Is it?" Lu Yu instinctively reached out to touch her face. She felt a little hot. She blamed a certain bad guy in her heart and replied calmly to Lin Mo, "It's a little hot today." To prevent Lin Mo from asking more questions, she said, "There's nothing else. You can leave now. I have some work to do." Lin Mo did not leave immediately. He asked, "Professor Lu, have you met with Wang Haoran's elders? Has the matter been resolved?" "I have, but it's not resolved yet. Your lecture will have to be postponed." Lu Yu looked regretful. In fact, she had already promised Wang Haoran that she would never let Lin Mo teach again. Lu Yu originally wanted to uphold her own principles, but in comparison, she wanted to please a certain someone more, so she could only agree. "It's going to take a while?" Lin Mo was very disappointed. "I really try my best." Lu Yu looked helpless. Lin Mo saw Lu Yu's expression and didn't suspect anything. Although he was disappointed, he still said, "Thank you for your hard work, Professor Lu." "Not at all." Lu Yu shook her head. "I'll take my leave then." Lin Mo walked out of the office and closed the door behind him. Ding! The host manipulated from behind the scenes and prevented Lin Mo from teaching. The reward is 1,000 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -50, and the host's villain aura +50. Wang Haoran happily accepted the reward without feeling surprised at all. After all, this was something that Lu Yu had personally promised. Wang Haoran inadvertently looked at his hand. He could feel that there was still some lingering warmth on it, as well as some faint smoothness. The anger that he felt because of Lu Yu's pretentious behavior had been completely dispelled. However, from now on, he would have to go to the office more frequently to ask questions. Buzz! Just as Wang Haoran was thinking about something, his phone suddenly vibrated. He picked up the phone and looked at the caller ID before answering the call. "Qin Fan just called me, but I didn't pick up. If I'm not wrong, he probably wants to ask when the 500 million will arrive," Cheng Rui reported. "Continue to delay. Don't give him the money," Wang Haoran said. Qin Fan's martial arts were so good, and he had so many tricks up his sleeves. If he had another 500 million, wouldn't he soar? With this money, it would be much easier for Qin Fan to chase girls. Wang Haoran didn't want to see this happen. "Okay," Cheng Rui replied. Then, she remembered something. "I have a video here. Do you want to see it?" "What video?" Wang Haoran was puzzled. You'll understand once you see it." Cheng Rui's tone was a little reserved. Wang Haoran was puzzled. Cheng Rui's favorability level was maxed out. In order to please her, she would do anything. Could this video be related to her? With such doubts in his mind, Wang Haoran accepted the video. After the transmission was completed, he opened it and watched it. After a while, Wang Haoran was stunned. "Are you done? Was it exciting?" Cheng Rui's voice was strange. Exciting, too exciting. Wang Haoran really wanted to give Cheng Rui a bear hug. The video that Cheng Rui sent was of Qin Fan. As for the content, it was not enough for outsiders to know. Wang Haoran had never thought that Qin Fan, this guy whose martial strength was off the charts, would actually have this kind of hobby of entertaining himself. If this video was exposed and made known to everyone, wouldn't Qin Fan be socially dead? Don't talk about getting the female lead. Even getting a beautiful female supporting lead would be difficult. When Qin Fan left the mansion, I secretly installed some hidden surveillance cameras in the room. Originally, I wanted to see some of his habits and understand his weaknesses. But I didn't think. From the surface, I really couldn't tell that he was this kind of person. Cheng Rue explained. You did well. Wang Haoran praised. Is there a reward? Cheng Rue asked with a smile. What reward do you want? Wang Haoran asked. I don't care. You can give me anything. Cheng Rue's tone was indifferent, as if she didn't care. Ma Hongsheng should respect Qin Fan a lot, right? Wang Haoran suddenly asked. He had already tricked Tantai Yaoyue once. Currently, before he confirmed his relationship with Tantai Yaoyue, it was almost impossible to take advantage of her. Therefore, Wang Haoran naturally wanted to put his firepower on Ma Hongsheng. Ma Hongsheng was Qin Fan's disciple. Dealing with Ma Hongsheng would also give him a reward. Yes, a lot of respect. According to Ma Hongsheng, his way of making money was taught by Qin Fan. To be able to have his current achievements and status, it was all thanks to Qin Fan. That is to say, it will be very difficult to make the two of them turn against each other. Wang Haoran couldn't help but sigh. Using poison to get rid of Ma Hongsheng. Although it could easily get rid of Ma Hongsheng, it felt like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. After all, Qin Fan had a total of 99 disciples. If he poisoned Ma Hongsheng to death, then what method would he use to deal with Qin Fan's next disciple? Continue to use poison? Using the same method was basically telling Qin Fan that there was a mastermind behind the scenes who was harming his disciple. After Qin Fan raised his vigilance, he wouldn't be so easy to deal with. Therefore, on dealing with Qin Fan's disciple, Wang Haoran wanted to use different methods. This way, Qin Fan wouldn't notice that someone was targeting him. Poisoning was only one of the methods to deal with Qin Fan's disciple. Moreover, it was best to only use it once. Ma Hongsheng was one of the weaker ones. Poisoning him to death was thinking too highly of him. Wang Haoran still wanted to use the method of poisoning on one of Qin Fan's more powerful disciples. Wang Haoran's plan was to destroy the relationship between Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan. If Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan turned against each other, he would not provide any help to Qin Fan. This would affect the direction of the plot. In terms of the degree to which it would affect the direction of the plot, or, in other words, the reward that Wang Haoran could obtain, making Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan fall out with each other and directly killing Ma Hongsheng would achieve the same effect. However, if Ma Hongsheng respected Qin Fan, then this plan of sowing discord would be difficult to carry out. Although Ma Hongsheng respects Qin Fan, it's not impossible to make them turn against each other. Just as Wang Haoran was worrying, Cheng Rue suddenly said lightly. Chapter 458. Oh, you have an idea? After hearing Cheng Rue's words, Wang Haoran's eyes lit up slightly. It's true that Ma Hongsheng respects Qin Fan, and he even gave him 500 million for free. But there's a limit to his respect. It's not like he's willing to give him everything, right? Cheng Rue reminded him. Hearing this, Wang Haoran immediately understood. Cheng Rue had already said so much. If he still didn't understand, then he didn't deserve to be the villain. In fact, Wang Haoran had thought of this idea before, but he didn't want Cheng Rue to pay such a big price. Although he wasn't very interested in Cheng Rue, he didn't want Cheng Rue to make such a sacrifice, because he felt uncomfortable. Moreover, when he saw the protagonist happy, he was unhappy. Even if Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan turned against each other because of this, he wouldn't be happy. I've actually thought of this idea before, but you're sacrificing too much. Let's not do it. Wang Haoran's voice was slightly low. Cheng Rue could hear the concern in Wang Haoran's voice. She couldn't help but feel happy and explained, it's just a little reputation. Moreover, I don't care what Ma Hongsheng thinks. Sacrifice, reputation? Wang Haoran was stunned. What else do you think it is? Cheng Rue smiled. In the past, in order to achieve her goal, She was willing to do anything and give up anything. But ever since her heart was stolen, she was extra protective of herself and didn't want other men to touch her. Even after Ma Hongsheng woke up, she used all kinds of methods to keep a distance from Ma Hongsheng. How could she sacrifice herself to make Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan turn against each other? Do you have a better idea? Wang Haoran felt like there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but he still asked. Cheng Rui was very happy when she heard this. She only thought that Wang Haoran cared about her, but she didn't know that Wang Haoran was completely out of man's habit. He couldn't see the beautiful woman around him having any intimate contact with other men. Especially, he couldn't see the beautiful woman around him having any intimate contact with the protagonist. I do have an idea, but there are still two problems that need to be solved. Cheng Rui said. Tell me about it. The poison in Ma Hongxing's body hasn't been cleared yet. He's unconscious in the middle of the night. Is there any medicine that can make him wake up for a short period of time, but he won't be able to do anything or even speak? Cheng Rui asked. Yes, Wang Haoran replied immediately. He was the one who had poisoned Ma Hongsheng, so he was very clear about the toxins involved. It was too easy to do what Cheng Rui said. The other problem is that I have a cold personality. I'm afraid that I won't be able to focus on my emotions, so I might need your help. When Cheng Rui said this, her voice was intermittent, and she seemed a little nervous. After saying that, he felt a little ashamed and hurriedly added, It's just an act. I didn't ask you to do it for real. Cheng Rui's words were a little vague, but Wang Haoran still understood some of the meaning. What's the specific plan? Wang Haoran wanted to know more so that he could cooperate better. Ma Hongxing's condition is much better. He has already left the hospital and is recuperating at home. Qin Fan will come regularly to clean up the poison in his body. Looking at the time, Qin Fan should be here in the evening. At that time, Cheng Rui briefly explained her plan on the phone. After Wang Haoran heard it, he felt that it was quite feasible. He ended the call with Cheng Rui. After class, he returned to the villa's secret basement and prepared the medicine that Cheng Rui needed. In the evening, Wang Haoran drove out of the villa and prepared to send the medicine to Cheng Rui. However, just as he drove out of the villa, he received a call from Tantai Yaoyue. Can you be my driver? Are you free? Tantai Yaoyue said. Where are you going, sister? Wang Haoran was afraid that Tantai Yaoyue would go to see Qin Fan. So even if he had something to do, he didn't immediately refuse and asked first. I just found out that a senior apprentice brother is sick. I'm going to see him. Tantai Yaoyue said. Wang Haoran seemed to feel something and replied, I'm free. I'll come find you right away. After hanging up, Wang Haoran drove to another villa not far away in Haunt. Liu just came back from school and was about to enter the villa. When she saw the Pagani at the door, she immediately walked over. Hello, fifth sister. At the entrance of the villa, Wang Haoran was more honest. After the window rolled down, he quickly called out to Liu Yu, who was beside the car. Ding! The host made the female lead Liu Yu jealous. Gained 500 villain points. Picking up seventh sister to play, Liu Yu lowered her body and used her arm to support herself against the window as she asked with jealousy. No, big sister asked me to be her driver. She said she's going to see a sick senior apprentice brother. Wang Haoran didn't hide it. I see. Liu Yu nodded. Your sock is torn. Wang Haoran noticed something, so he reminded her. Liu Yu looked down and couldn't help but glare at him. She lowered her voice and said, I'll go online and spend some money to buy a better quality one that won't tear. It can't even be torn. How boring would that be? Wang Haoran subconsciously curled his lips. Liu Yu looked at him with a strange expression. Then she seemed to understand something and pinched him. But her strength was pitifully weak. She probably couldn't even pinch an ant to death. She removed her arm from the window and stood up with a serious expression. Because Big Sister walked out of the villa. Big Sister, you caught seventh sister's boyfriend to be your driver. That's not good, right? Liu Yu was afraid that Wang Haoran would be bullied, so she couldn't help but say this. What's not good about it? Tantai Yaoyue snorted, not feeling embarrassed at all. After all, he took advantage of her the most. What's wrong with catching him to be her driver? Liu Yu saw that Big Sister's expression didn't look good, so she didn't dare to say anything. She could only secretly give Wang Haoran a take-care look. Tantai Yaoyue got into the front passenger seat. "Big sister, where are we going?" Wang Haoran asked in the car. "This place." Tantai Yaoyue opened the memo on her phone and showed it to Wang Haoran. There was only one address on the interface of the memo. This address was the same as what Cheng Rue said. Just as Wang Haoran had guessed, the two of them were indeed on the same path and headed to the same place. He originally planned to sneak in and give the medicine to Cheng Rue, but now it seemed that he could openly walk into the Ma family's mansion. Wang Haoran looked at the time the memo was edited and found that it was written more than 10 minutes ago. He suddenly had a thought and asked Tantai Yaoyue, "Big sister, have you seen this senior brother before?" "No. I just found out that I have a senior brother in Qingling," Tantai Yaoyue casually replied. When Wang Haoran heard this, he immediately had a guess. If he guessed correctly, Tantai Yaoyue should have just talked to Qin Fan on the phone. Tantai Yaoyue also found out that she had a senior brother like Ma Hongsheng who was sick. Qin Fan chose this time to talk to Tantai Yaoyue on purpose, because Wang Haoran got the news from Cheng Rue that Qin Fan would go to the Ma family's mansion in the evening to clean up Ma Hongsheng's poison. If Tantai Yaoyue went now, there was a high chance that she would meet Qin Fan. Chapter 459. After sorting this out, Wang Haoran's eyes flashed with an unkind expression. This Qin Fan still had that kind of thought about Tantai Yaoyue. Wang Haoran had the urge to show Tantai Yaoyue the video Cheng Rue sent over about Qin Fan. But after thinking about it, he gave up on the idea. The surveillance camera Cheng Rue had people install was very high-end, and the video was very clear. And this video was not censored. Wang Haoran did not want to dirty Tantai Yaoyue's eyes. Also, Wang Haoran could not give a proper explanation as to where this video came from. Ma family mansion. Ma Hongsheng sat in the hall, waiting for Qin Fan to come over and help him clean up the poison. Cheng Rue brought over a cup of tea that Ma Hongsheng usually liked to drink and placed it on the table in front of him. "Just let the servants do this." Ma Hongsheng looked at Cheng Rue with a pampering expression. "I'm afraid they put too much or too little tea leaves. I know your taste, so it's better for me to do it." Cheng Rue smiled, showing her virtuousness. Seeing this, Ma Hongsheng felt that he was very lucky to be able to marry such a young, beautiful, generous, and virtuous woman like Cheng Rue. "Ha Sheng, what is the background of your master? Why is his medical skills so good?" Cheng Rue asked indirectly, wanting to get some information for Wang Haoran so that he could deal with Qin Fan better. "I'm not sure about his background, but he's an expert of the present age, and his methods are not only limited to medicine. According to what I know, my master has a lot of skills and is almost omnipotent," Ma Hongsheng said with a face of worship. "So good." Cheng Rue showed a surprised expression and asked in surprise, "Then there must be a lot of women around him?" "Not really. My master is pure and has few desires. He's not interested in women," Ma Hongsheng said. Hearing this, Cheng Rue naturally strongly denied it. After all, there was video evidence. "Not interested in women?" "I'm afraid he hit it too well," Cheng Rue said meaningfully. "There's something I don't know if I should tell you." "What is it?" "Tell me about it." Ma Hongsheng was bewildered, so he quickly asked, "That master of yours? Forget it. I'd better not talk about him. Otherwise, you might think that I'm gossiping and slandering others behind their backs." Cheng Rue looked like she wanted to say something, but stopped herself. "Rue, what's wrong with my master? Tell me." Ma Hongsheng couldn't help but feel a little anxious and immediately asked, "I keep feeling that the way your master looks at me is a little strange." After being urged, Cheng Rue pretended to be helpless and reluctantly said it. "The way he looked at you is strange? What do you mean?" Ma Hongsheng was puzzled. "The way a man looks at a woman. Do you understand?" Cheng Rue said. Ma Hongsheng frowned, but his expression soon relaxed. He said with a firm expression, "That's right. Rue, you must have misunderstood. My master is a master of the present age. He is definitely not a despicable person. How could he have any thoughts about his disciple's wife? You must have misunderstood." "I hope so." Cheng Rue sighed and didn't continue to argue with Ma Hongsheng about this topic. Her plan needed to be carried out step by step. Purposely mentioning this was just a prelude. "Sir, there's a guest outside. She says she's your junior apprentice sister." A maid came to report. Hearing this, Ma Hongxing's face showed some joy and went out with Cheng Rui to welcome her. Ma Hongxing had already heard the news from Qin Fan and knew of Tantai Yaoyue's existence. After recuperating, Ma Hongxing's body condition had improved a lot. When he was awake, he only felt a little tired and couldn't raise his spirit to work. However, maintaining his basic daily life wasn't too big of a problem. When Ma Hongxing and Cheng Rui saw the otherworldly beauty Tantai Yaoyue, they were stunned for a while. After reacting, Ma Hongxing immediately greeted Tantai Yaoyue and introduced Cheng Rui. Then he looked at Wang Haoran in confusion. Wang Haoran and Zhen Li had visited Ma Hongxing before. When Ma Hongxing saw Wang Haoran, he naturally felt that he was familiar. "This is my younger brother." Tantai Yaoyue briefly introduced Wang Haoran. Ma Hongxing nodded and didn't ask any more questions. He invited Wang Haoran and Tantai Yaoyue in. He had the servants prepare tea. And Cheng Rui didn't look at them from start to finish, as if she didn't recognize Wang Haoran. Not long after, Qin Fan also came over. When he saw Tantai Yaoyue's beautiful figure, his face showed an incomparably brilliant smile. "Master," Tantai Yaoyue called very respectfully. Qin Fan smiled and nodded. Then he looked kindly at Wang Haoran and smiled at him. It was a very friendly appearance. Wang Haoran returned the smile. His smile was like a naive little boy. "Yaoyue, have you seen that person recently?" Qin Fan couldn't help but ask about Tantai Yaoyue's relationship situation. Tantai Yaoyue's state of mind had originally calmed down and acted as if nothing had happened. But Qin Fan suddenly mentioning this made Tantai Yaoyue think about the grievances she had suffered before. Tantai Yaoyue glanced at Wang Haoran from the corner of her eyes and felt her teeth itch. But it wasn't good to act out. "Master, I don't want to talk about this. I already treat that person as dead. It's impossible for me to be with him in the future." Tantai Yaoyue's face was cold. Wang Haoran was very calm. Of course, he understood that Tantai Yaoyue was reluctant to admit her mistake. However, Qin Fan believed it and was overjoyed in his heart. However, on the surface, he put on a sympathetic look and said earnestly, "Yaoyue, look on the bright side. You will meet better people in the future." After comforting Tantai Yaoyue, Qin Fan began to clean up the remaining poison for Ma Hongxing. After a while, he finished. "Little Ma, your mansion is pretty big." Qin Fan suddenly sighed. From the entrance of the mansion to the main hall, it was several hundred meters. On the way, he saw a garden, a swimming pool, a tennis court, and so on. "Master, if you're interested, how about this disciple show you around?" Ma Hongxing said with a smile. "Very good." Qin Fan replied and looked at Tantai Yaoyue. "Let's go take a look together." Tantai Yaoyue nodded. She also saw the scene that Qin Fan saw. She was curious and also wanted to take a look. The host, Ma Hongxing and Cheng Rui, led the way. They brought Wang Haoran, Tantai Yaoyue, and Qin Fan to tour the mansion. After a while, they arrived at the garage of the mansion. There were all kinds of luxurious cars in the garage, dazzling the eyes. Wang Haoran swept his gaze and quickly saw a very cool and familiar supercar. Qin Fan, who was standing at the side, noticed it too. They couldn't help but walk over to the cool supercar and size it up. "Rue, I don't think I have this Bugatti Veyron." Ma Hongxing asked Cheng Rui. Wang Haoran heard this, and his heart couldn't help but thump. This Bugatti was exactly his. Previously, in order to help Bien Suen, he pretended to give this Bugatti away. That was why it came to Cheng Rui, in order to prevent others from finding out that he and Cheng Rui knew each other. This Bugatti had always been with Cheng Rui. Wang Haoran didn't drive it back. Wang Haoran's gaze inadvertently looked at Cheng Rui, hoping that she wouldn't give herself away and let others find out. Chapter 460. Facing Ma Hongxing's puzzled eyes, Cheng Rui was extremely calm. She explained, "My son liked Bugatti cars before, so I bought him a model car. But he cried and made a fuss, insisting that he wanted the real one. I couldn't do anything about it. I happened to hear that someone was reselling a Bugatti Veyron, so I bought it. But this little guy is too naughty. When I bought the car, He said that he didn't like it. When she said these words, she looked a little helpless, and her face was full of motherly radiance. After that, she looked at Ma Hongsheng apologetically. You were in a coma before, so I couldn't discuss it with you. It's all my fault that I spent tens of millions for nothing. Wang Haoren heard it and couldn't help but admire Cheng Rue. This woman was really good at lying. She said it as if it was true. She was almost as good as him. Ma Hongsheng couldn't help but smile and said, just buy it. It's only tens of millions. It's okay. After replying to Cheng Rue, Ma Hongsheng couldn't help but look at Qin Fan. He saw Qin Fan walking around the Bugatti and staring at it. Master, do you like this car? Ma Hongsheng asked with a smile. Yes. Qin Fan was so moved that he subconsciously replied, since you like it, I'll give it to you. Ma Hongsheng said generously. He preferred the luxury cars of the business department and was not very interested in supercars. Seeing that Qin Fan seemed to like it very much, he wanted to do him a favor. How can I accept it? Qin Fan declined. Master, please accept my disciple's kindness. Ma Hongsheng said warmly. Then it would be impolite to refuse. Qin Fan reluctantly accepted it. Wang Haoren was unhappy. Damn it, this Bugatti is mine. Ma Hongsheng used his car to do a favor, and the person he gave it to was the protagonist. But he couldn't stop it. Damn, Arue, please find someone to do the transfer procedures. Ma Hongsheng said to Cheng Rue. Okay. Cheng Rue nodded. Have you given the 500 million in cash flow to Master? Ma Hongsheng thought of something. The company's cash flow has been tight recently, and I haven't turned it around yet. But it should be done by tomorrow morning. After Cheng Rue finished speaking to Ma Hongsheng, she looked at Qin Fan and said, the transfer procedures for the car will be completed by tomorrow morning. Both things will be done around 8 in the morning. I'll get someone to send you the car and card, or I'll come and get it myself, Qin Fan said excitedly. Master, since it's time for dinner, why don't you stay for dinner and then stay here for the night? This will save you the trouble of running around. What do you think? Ma Hongsheng suggested. That's good too. Qin Fan immediately agreed. After Cheng Rue heard this, a special light flashed across her eyes. If Ma Hongsheng hadn't opened his mouth, she would have used this reason to suggest that Qin Fan stay for dinner and accommodation. However, Ma Hongsheng had suddenly opened his mouth, which saved Cheng Rue a lot of trouble. After looking around for a while, it was time for dinner. Wang Haoren and Tantai Yaoyue were also invited by Ma Hongsheng to stay for dinner. After dinner, Tantai Yaoyue prepared to go back with Wang Haoren. Yaoyue, it's already dark. Why don't you stay here for a night? Qin Fan wanted to spend more time with Tantai Yaoyue, so he spoke. That's right. Junior sister, there are many rooms here. Why don't you stay here as well? Ma Hongsheng said enthusiastically. Thank you, senior brother, for your good intentions, but I have some things to take care of at home. It's not convenient for me to stay. If there's a chance next time, I'll disturb senior brother again. Tantai Yaoyue tactfully declined. She always warned her sisters not to stay outside. She had to do it and set an example for her sisters. Why would he stay overnight outside? Okay. Ma Hongsheng didn't want to force it. Little brother Haoren, be careful when you drive, okay? Qin Fan warned. His tone was incomparably friendly, as if he was treating Wang Haoren as his brother-in-law. Wang Haoren heard the meaning in his words and inwardly cursed a certain woman in Qin Fan's family. But even so, it didn't stop him from revealing an innocent smile. Okay, I'll be careful. After replying, he looked at Tantai Yaoyue. Big sister, let's go back. Tantai Yaoyue nodded. The two left the Ma family mansion. Such a beautiful night scene. When the Pagani passed by a river, Tantai Yaoyue saw the beautiful night scene and couldn't help but exclaim. After she returned to Clear Spirit, she almost never came out at night. This was the first time she saw Clear Spirit's night scene. Wang Haoren glanced at Tantai Yaoyue's expression as she stared out of the window. He couldn't help but slow down the car and steadily stop the car on the side of the road. Tantai Yaoyue turned around and looked at Wang Haoren in confusion. Big sister, since it's beautiful, then let's look a bit longer. Wang Haoren got out of the car first and opened the front passenger door for Tantai Yaoyue. Tantai Yaoyue didn't object and also got out. The two leaned against the railing of the river. Tantai Yaiwa looked at the night scene of the river, while Wang Haoran looked at her beautiful side profile. Tantai Yaiwa didn't notice at first, but she gradually felt something and couldn't help turning her head. Her gaze met with Wang Haoran's. Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something dirty on my face? Tantai Yaiwa's gaze dodged, but quickly returned to normal and asked, There's nothing dirty. I just feel that big sister is 1,000 times more beautiful than the night scene. I can't help but look at you, Wang Haoran said with a sincere expression. These words came from his heart. Tantai Yaiwa's side profile was indeed much better than the night scene of the river. Ding! Host has stirred up the heart of the female lead Tantai Yaiwa. Received 1,000 villain points. Although Tantai Yaiwa was the big sister of the seven sisters, because of her special experience, she had never heard a man say such sweet words to her. Moreover, the person who said these sweet words was the person she deeply admired. For a time, her heart couldn't help but fiercely beat. You suddenly saying these words to me, what do you mean? Tantai Yaiwa was faintly anticipating something. Wang Haoran saw something from her eyes, and his heart shrank back. He secretly decided that in the future, he would try to restrain his habit of saying sweet words. There's no meaning. I just feel that big sister is more beautiful than the night scene. Wang Haoran didn't dare respond to Tantai Yaiwa's feelings and could only play dumb. Can you not call me big sister? When Tantai Yaiwa heard the word big sister, she felt strangely angry. You are my big sister. If I don't call you big sister, what should I call you? Wang Haoran felt helpless and could only continue to play dumb. Qin Fan, this main character, was too strong. He was far from being Qin Fan's match. In order to avoid Qin Fan's hostility, he had to maintain a relationship with Tantai Yaiwa. No matter how beautiful Tantai Yaiwa was, he had to endure it. When Tantai Yaiwa heard Wang Haoran's words, she was a bit angry. She imagined throwing him into the river and drowning him as a way of venting. Then she angrily said 2 words. Go home. Saying this, she twisted her waist and got into the front passenger seat. Chapter 461. Ma Family Mansion. In a bedroom, Ma Hongsheng was reading a book at the head of the bed. The door was suddenly pushed open gently, and Cheng Rui walked in her pajamas. Ma Hongsheng was confused. Rui, didn't you say that we'll sleep in the same room after I've recovered? Just now. Cheng Rui was still in shock. She wanted to say something, but stopped. What's wrong? Ma Hongsheng saw her pale face and immediately asked. When I was bathing, someone was peeping at me, Cheng Rui said with a trembling voice. Peeping at you? Who wants to die? Ma Hongsheng shouted angrily. Then he realized something. The Ma family mansion was filled with maids. There was no reason for a maid to peep at Cheng Rui, right? Even if it was a maid, as the mistress of the house, Cheng Rui had no reason to be afraid. She would not come to him in a panic to complain. Other than the maids, the only men in the mansion were him and Qin Fan. It's my master? Ma Hongsheng asked in disbelief. Yes. Cheng Rui nodded. Could you have made a mistake? Ma Hongsheng began to question. It was just a flash. I didn't see his face clearly, but I'm sure it's a man, Cheng Rui said. When Ma Hongsheng heard that, he could only think of Qin Fan. After all, other than himself, Qin Fan was the only man in the mansion. There was an uncomfortable feeling in his heart. Master is a gentleman. He wouldn't do such a thing. He must have just happened to pass by. Ma Hongsheng decided to believe in Qin Fan's character. A gentleman wouldn't do such a thing secretly. Cheng Rui muttered softly. What did you say? Ma Hongsheng did not hear clearly. Nothing. Cheng Rui shook her head again. Rui, did you discover something? Tell me quickly. Ma Hongsheng was anxious. Cheng Rui struggled. I shouldn't have said this. After all, it's my private matter. What is it? Tell me quickly. Ma Hongsheng was anxious. Cheng Rui looked helpless. She showed Ma Hongsheng a video on her phone. Ma Hongsheng was stunned. It was as if his worldview had been changed. How did you get this video? Ma Hongsheng asked in surprise. This is the surveillance footage left behind by the previous owner of the mansion that was given to Qin Fan. The temporary butler of the mansion found it and saw this video. He didn't know what to do with it, so he told me and asked me what I should do. That's how I found out, Chung Rue explained. I really couldn't tell that master was this kind of person. Moreover, he seemed to be shouting my junior sister's name. Ma Hongsheng had a new understanding of Qin Fan. This video was of Qin Fan entertaining himself. When Qin Fan was excited, he even involuntarily called out the two words, Yao Yu. Ma Hongsheng could not help but think of Tantai Yao Yu. After his impression of Qin Fan was refreshed, Ma Hongsheng also believed Chung Rue's words. Be careful in the future. Keep your distance from Qin Fan. Let me interact with him in the future. Although Ma Hongsheng was dissatisfied with Qin Fan, he didn't want to fall out with him. He could only let Chung Rue suffer a little. I don't dare to sleep there anymore. Chung Rue looked frightened. Sleep on my side, Ma Hongsheng said. Okay. Chung Rue nodded in response. A strong sense of disgust rose in her heart. But fortunately, she calculated the time correctly. Just 10 seconds after she said, okay, Ma Hongsheng felt a strong sense of drowsiness surge up. It was the poison in his body acting up. Ma Hongsheng hurriedly lay down on the bed and quickly fell asleep. The harmless expression on Chung Rue's face disappeared. Late at night, the unconscious Ma Hongsheng vaguely regained some consciousness. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound from Chung Rue beside his ear. Ma Hongsheng subconsciously thought that Chung Rue was unable to endure and was entertaining herself. But very quickly, he felt that this was not the case. Because someone was interacting with Chung Rue, Ma Hongsheng felt a burst of anger. He wanted to open his eyes to take a look, but his eyelids were incomparably heavy. He couldn't open his eyes, his body couldn't move, and he couldn't even speak. He listened with a heart full of anger for a while. Then, he gradually lost consciousness and fell asleep once again. The next day, the sun was high in the sky. Ma Hongsheng opened his eyes and woke up. Chung Rue was waiting by his side. Rue, who were you with last night at? Ma Hongsheng's face was distorted. He wanted to question Chung Rue, but halfway through he suddenly stopped. Previously, he had suspected Chung Rue once. At that time, Chung Rue committed suicide once to prove her innocence. Luckily, she didn't die. With Chung Rue's loyalty, it was impossible for her to do such a thing. However, he was sure that last night was definitely not a dream. He really heard a strange movement. Ma Hongsheng changed his attitude and tone. He asked Chung Rue, Rue, did you sleep well last night? I slept very well. I slept until dawn. Chung Rue's expression was normal as she replied indifferently. Ma Hongsheng saw this and felt that Chung Rue didn't seem to be lying. Chung Rue wanted to prove her innocence and even wanted to die to prove her innocence. It was obvious how much she loved him. After thinking about it, Ma Hongsheng thought of a possibility. That was, Chung Rue didn't know what happened. Rue, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Ma Hongsheng asked vaguely. No. Chung Rue seemed to be a little shy. Are you still not going to tell me the truth? Ma Hongsheng saw through her and asked. Chung Rue blushed. Maybe it's because you've been ill for a long time. I had that kind of dream last night. When I woke up early in the morning, I felt a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's an endocrine imbalance. It's nothing serious. When these words entered his ears, Ma Hongsheng felt like a bolt from the blue. His head seemed to be heavy. He heard it clearly at that time and was sure that it was definitely not Chung Rue's dream. There was indeed someone interacting with Chung Rue. In this mansion, Qin Fan was probably the only one who could make Chung Rue feel like she was dreaming. Because Ma Hongsheng knew that Qin Fan had a way to confuse people. Chung Rue must have fallen for it. Qin Fan treated him and knew about his condition. He thought that he wouldn't wake up after falling asleep, but he never expected that he would wake up in the middle of the night and be discovered. Ha-chung, what's wrong? Chung Rue pretended to be puzzled and asked. It's nothing. I just woke up and my mind is a little confused. Ma Hongsheng forced a smile and replied. He was afraid that Chung Rue wouldn't be able to take the blow and would kill herself after knowing about this. After all, Chung Rue had a criminal record. With Chung Rue's loyalty to him, she would definitely do it. Ma Hongsheng didn't want to lose Chung Rue, so he naturally had to hide it from her. Chung Rue picked up a card and a stack of documents on the table in the room and smiled at Ma Hongsheng. 500 million cash flow has been deposited into this card. The transfer of the Bugatti Veyron has also been completed. But since you said you were going to contact Qin Fan, you can give it to him. Ma Hongsheng took the card and the transfer documents. Anger rose in his heart. He could give money and a car, but as a man, he couldn't let anyone touch his wife, even if the other party was the person he respected the most. At this time, Qin Fan was in the garden of the Ma family mansion, admiring the flowers and breathing in the fresh air. He looked very relaxed. Suddenly, he heard some noise. He turned his eyes and saw Ma Hongsheng walking over from afar. Qin Fan instantly lost the mood to admire the flowers. He couldn't wait to drive the Bugatti Veyron and the 500 million cash flow card to Qingling's business center. He wanted to experience what it was like to be a rich man in the secular world. And just when he was feeling excited, Ma Hongsheng also walked in front of him. However, Ma Hongsheng, who always showed a humble and respectful smile when he saw him in the past, now had a dark face. "Xiao Ma, you don't look too good. Are you feeling unwell?" Qin Fan still didn't understand the situation and asked Ma Hongsheng in a mature tone. Chapter 462. Hearing Qin Fan's tone, Ma Hongsheng subconsciously clenched his fist. He respected Qin Fan and could give him money and a car. However, he could not tolerate Qin Fan touching his wife. Anger rose in his heart, and he had the urge to fight Qin Fan. However, his rationality told him that he was not Qin Fan's opponent. In front of Qin Fan, he was like an ant. Qin Fan could easily kill him. In addition, he still had to rely on Qin Fan to clean the poison in his body. "Xiao Ma, what's wrong with you?" Qin Fan saw Ma Hongsheng's expression and could not help but frown. Ma Hongsheng suppressed the anger in his heart and slowly loosened his clenched fist. He squeezed out a stiff smile and said, "Nothing." Qin Fan naturally did not believe him. However, since Ma Hongsheng did not want to say it, he did not want to ask. Moreover, what he was most concerned about now was not Ma Hongsheng's condition, but when Ma Hongsheng's promised money and car would arrive. Yesterday, Chung Rue said that it would be done at 8 o'clock. She would hand over the transfer of the card and car to him. However, 8 o'clock had long passed. It was already a long time ago. In his anxiety, Qin Fan could not help but urge, "Have you settled the money and car?" Ma Hongsheng felt sullen. He touched his wife and still wanted money and car. This was too much. However, Ma Hongsheng was afraid of Qin Fan's strength and did not dare to offend him. Moreover, he still needed to rely on him to treat his illness. There are some twists and turns. The money and car will take some time before I can hand it over to you. Although Ma Hongsheng did not dare to offend Qin Fan, he was still angry. Therefore, he did not want to give the money and car to Qin Fan. He planned to delay it for a while. After his illness was cured, he would slowly settle this account. Which man could tolerate his wife being taken advantage of? Ma Hongsheng's heart was filled with killing intent. Although Qin Fan's strength was high, there were many people in this world who would sell their lives for money. What Ma Hongsheng did not lack the least was money. As long as he could afford it, he would not be afraid that he could not find a powerful person to deal with Qin Fan. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes and successfully drove a wedge between Ma Hongsheng and Qin Fan. This caused Ma Hongsheng to want to kill the protagonist Qin Fan. The host received 2,000 villain points. Qin Fan protagonist aura minus 100. The host villain aura plus 100. Will it take some time? Hearing Ma Hongsheng's words, Qin Fan could not help but feel a little disappointed. In a big city, it was really difficult to move around without money. He had had enough during this period. He was just waiting for Ma Hongsheng's 500 million, but after waiting for so many days, there's still no news. There's a problem with the company's cash flow. One of the founding members who worked for me fled abroad with the money. The 500 million yuan was used to fill the gap, and it was only enough to fill a small gap. I'm going to use my car and house as collateral to get a loan to fill the gap, but I don't know if I can fill the gap. Now that the company is facing a huge crisis, I might go bankrupt. I just woke up and learned of this news. It was like a bolt from the blue for me. I hope Master can understand. In order to prevent Qin Fan from demanding, Ma Hongsheng acted pitiful. At the same time, it could also be considered as an explanation for why he had lost control of his emotions just now. When Qin Fan heard this, a look of understanding appeared on his face. However, he was immediately disappointed in his heart. In this situation, it was indeed not good to ask Ma Hongsheng for anything. If he had known earlier, he would have gone to earn money. He had waited for so many days in vain. Qin Fan felt depressed and said to Ma Hongsheng, "Then I'll take my leave first." Ma Hongsheng couldn't wait for Qin Fan to leave. After hearing what he said, he asked the servant to send Qin Fan out. As for the mansion, car, and a driver, Ma Hongsheng didn't intend to take them back. After all, he still needed to rely on Qin Fan to treat his illness. He couldn't show too much hostility. After Qin Fan left in the business car, Ma Hongsheng returned to the hall of the mansion. "Why are you suddenly not giving master money in car?" Cheng Rui pretended to be puzzled and asked Ma Hongsheng. "I have my own ideas. Don't ask too much." When Ma Hongsheng thought of Cheng Rui's suffering last night, his heart ached. However, he didn't dare to tell Cheng Rui the truth. "Okay, I won't ask." Cheng Rui smiled and nodded. "Is the video of Qin Fan that you showed me before stealing your phone?" Ma Hongsheng asked. "Yes," Cheng Rui said. "That's good. Send me the video." "Okay." Cheng Rui could vaguely guess Ma Hongsheng's intention. She took out her phone and immediately sent the video of Qin Fan to Ma Hongsheng. Then, she looked at the time and said, "I'm going to the company." "Well, go ahead. You've worked hard during this period. When my illness gets better, you won't have to work so hard." Ma Hongsheng smiled. Cheng Rui took her bag and went to the garage of the mansion. After seeing Cheng Rui leave, Ma Hongsheng reopened Qin Fan's video and watched it again. He couldn't stop sneering. Although he didn't dare to fall out with Qin Fan openly, he didn't want to let Qin Fan have an easy time. If Qin Fan's private video was posted on the internet, it would definitely have a big impact on him. As for whether Qin Fan would find out who posted the video, Ma Hongsheng also had a way to deal with it. After all, he bought the mansion and it had other owners before. The surveillance camera was also left behind. He pretended to use this video to blackmail Qin Fan and ask him to pay for it. Then, he would post the video on the internet with the reason that the money was too little or too late. In this way, he could divert the attention and not be suspected by Qin Fan. Cheng Rui drove away from the Ma family mansion and went to the company. When she was halfway there, she suddenly stopped by a road with few people. She took out her phone and dialed Wang Howren's number. "Everything is going according to plan. It's very smooth. Your Bugatti Veyron is also safe," Cheng Rui reported. "Well done." Wang Howren praised. He just received a notification from the system and got the answer in another way. Therefore, he wasn't surprised by Cheng Rui's words. However, when he thought back to last night, he only felt a little scared. Qin Fan's martial strength was very high, and his perception was also very strong. When he sneaked into the Ma family mansion and cooperated with Cheng Rui to act, he was extremely careful. He was afraid that Qin Fan would find out. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. After the act, he successfully escaped. "What about the reward you promised? Have you thought about what it is?" Cheng Rui mustered up her courage and asked, "Why did you lie to me?" Wang Howren didn't immediately answer Cheng Rui's question. Instead, he talked about another topic unhappily. "What did I lie to you about?" Cheng Rui was a little confused. "Didn't you say that you're cold by nature? Were you even a little cold yesterday?" Wang Howren said. If Cheng Rui didn't say that, he wouldn't have taken the risk to cooperate with Cheng Rui. He would have let Cheng Rui put on a one-man show. "I can swear that I didn't lie to you about this. I was really cold before, but I don't know why. When you touched me a little, Cheng Rui was extremely ashamed as she spoke. At the end of her sentence, her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz and couldn't be heard. Chapter 463. Cheng Rui's words were vague, but Wang Howren could still roughly guess what she was talking about. Wang Howren did not reply immediately. Cheng Rui was such a shrewd woman. Lying to her was nothing out of the ordinary. "You've already told me that Qin Fan is a dangerous person. You sneaked into the Ma family's villa. If the matter is exposed, it will be bad for both of us. How can I bear to harm you? Or let's put it another way. You don't think that I will harm myself, right? Seeing that Wang Haoran did not speak, Cheng Rue continued. Okay, I believe you. Wang Haoran immediately responded. He was too suspicious before, so he questioned Cheng Rue. In fact, if Cheng Rue's favorability was maxed out, she would definitely not do anything to harm him. What Cheng Rue said was absolutely true. After clarifying this point, Wang Haoran naturally did not doubt her anymore. However, he could not help but feel a little surprised. After he maxed out Cheng Rue's favorability, could he still cure her coldness? It seemed quite interesting. But unfortunately, he was not like Mr. Chow. All right, Ma Hongsheng asked for Qin Fan's video. If I'm not wrong, he will probably expose the video. Cheng Rue thought of something and reminded him. If Ma Hongsheng wants to do this, let him do it, Wang Haoran said indifferently. He also planned to expose Qin Fan's video. However, if Ma Hongsheng wanted to do it for him, that would be great. Okay, I understand. Cheng Rue nodded. Then that's all for now. Contact me if there's anything else. After Qin Fan left the Ma family's mansion, he started to think about the problem of making money. After waiting for so many days, he thought that he could get a huge sum of money from Ma Hongsheng. However, Ma Hongsheng's company suddenly had problems. Therefore, Qin Fan decided to rely on himself. He had so many skills. It was very easy for him to make money. However, in order to maintain the demeanor of an expert, plus he thought that Ma Hongsheng would give him 500 million, he did not have the intention to make money. But it was different now. An expert had to make a living after all. Even though he was currently living in the luxurious mansion that Ma Hongsheng had given him, and Ma Hongsheng had given him a car and chauffeur. However, Ma Hongsheng's company was now in a crisis. Who knew if his mansion and car would be mortgaged in the future? In the end, relying on others was unreliable. Qin Fan had many ways to make money. It was just that most of them required a very long time to be effective. However, the cycle of running the company was too long, and he did not have the patience. Therefore, he only planned to make quick money. After racking his brain, Qin Fan's first thought was to treat someone's illness. Or to be more precise, he was treating the rich. Qin Fan returned to the mansion and called Ma Hongsheng with a landline. Xiao Ma, is there anyone in your circle of friends who has a difficult illness? Introduce me to a few of them. Qin Fan was not courteous at all. After the call was connected, he directly said the purpose of the call. On the other end of the phone, Ma Hongsheng gnashed his teeth in anger, but he tried to suppress his displeasure and replied in a calm tone. The people in my circle of friends are all rich. They all have private doctors and go to the hospital regularly for checkups. There is no one who has a serious illness. He was a shrewd person. When he heard Qin Fan say that, he naturally understood that Qin Fan wanted to treat patients to make money. Why would he introduce patients to Qin Fan? Not a single one? Qin Fan asked. Ma Hongsheng pretended to think carefully. There is really no one. Qin Fan had no choice but to hang up the phone. Not long after, it was lunchtime. Qin Fan took a private car and went to the usual hotel for lunch. He had been eating in this hotel for many days. Therefore, some of the waiters here were already familiar with him. Sir, what would you like to eat today? A waitress walked over and handed him the menu. Qin Fan took the menu and ordered some dishes. That's all for now. If there is anything else, I will order later. Sir, please wait a moment. The waitress said respectfully. A moment later, the dishes were served. Qin Fan tasted the dishes and felt that the taste was not good. He changed to another dish and felt that it was not good. He raised his hand and signaled to the waitress beside him. The waitress walked forward and handed him the menu again, as if she was used to it. Qin Fan had eaten in this hotel for many days. He was very picky. When he encountered a dish that was not to his taste, he would order it again. The waitress was already used to it. Qin Fan reached out to take the menu and order other dishes that he had not tried before. However, a thought suddenly rose in his mind. He immediately retracted his hand and said to the waitress, "Call your head chef over." The waitress did not know what he meant, but she still did it, because the guest in front of her had the hotel's supreme membership card. He was a super VIP. She could not neglect him. Not long after, the waitress brought a middle-aged man with a white chef's hat and walked in front of Qin Fan. "Hello, sir. I'm a head chef of Jinhao Hotel. Is the dish not to your taste? The middle-aged man said respectfully, It is very not to my taste, because your dishes are too bad. They are just like garbage. Chin Fan said arrogantly. The head chef frowned. He only felt that Chin Fan was here to cause trouble. But because he knew that the other party was the hotel's supreme customer, he did not dare to do anything for a while. He tried to be polite and said, Sir, if you are not satisfied, I can redo it. No need. Bring me to your kitchen. I will do it myself. Chin Fan said. Hearing this, the head chef and the waitress were stunned. Then they felt that it was a little ridiculous. Since you're in the mood, please follow me. Supreme customers had special privileges. Since Chin Fan had such a request, the head chef could only satisfy him. He led the way and led Chin Fan to the kitchen at the back. On the way, Chin Fan could not help but smile. In fact, it was just a whim. God-level cooking was one of the skills that he knew. Just now, he happened to eat dishes that were not to his taste. Suddenly, he had the idea of using his cooking skills to make money. The culinary skills of this hotel's head chef were several levels lower than his. Chin Fan had absolute confidence that after he showed his skills, he would definitely make this head chef kneel down, lick his feet, and worship him. After that, it would be much easier. In his memory, there were many rare and exquisite dishes that were guaranteed to be unforgettable after eating them. After intimidating the head chef, he would meet the boss of this hotel, and then they could talk about business. He could guest act as the hotel chef or directly sell his cooking methods to the hotel. It was all possible. Then, wouldn't the money come? I wonder where she is now. When Chin Fan thought about cooking, he could not help but think of that beautiful female disciple who had followed him to learn cooking skills. Although this female disciple was a bit inferior to Tantai Yaoyue in terms of appearance, she was still a rare beauty in this world, especially her pair of long legs. They were even more alluring and soul-stealing. They were simply fatal. Just thinking about it made Chin Fan's blood boil. Several years ago, this female disciple had finished her studies and left the mountain. With the skills that she had learned, she must have had great achievements by now. He just did not know where she was now.